Welcome to the historic Chatsworth house in the heart of the Derbyshire countryside, where the world's best horses and riders will be battling it out in what promises to be the toughest eventing season yet. Dressage, show jumping, cross country, who has what it takes to win? This is eventing reinvented. This is the Event Rider Masters.
The 2018 Event Rider Masters Series is back, and it is bigger and better than ever before. Leg 1 in the series, it kicks off this weekend at the Dodson and Hurrell Chatsworth International Horse Trials. Yesterday was all about the dressage, earlier this afternoon about the show jumping, and this afternoon the speed and adrenaline of the cross country. In this iconic location, the seat of the Dukes of Devonshire, it's a really unique challenge for those making the lineup, and it includes former world, Olympic and European champions all in the field. And we've absolutely no doubt that the cross-country test this afternoon will impact on that leaderboard. We won't know until the last horse crosses the line who is going to take leg 1 of the Event Rider Masters Series in 2018. Who will take the first series points on offer for this year? Well, what happened in 2017? Let's go back and remind ourselves before we get started with this afternoon's action.
The season started with a bang at Chatsworth House, Derbyshire in the UK. The world's best horses and riders on a level footing and raring to go. But the pressure to perform proved too much for the duo in the show jumping. And it was British rider Gemma Tattersall who capitalised on Carlisle's mistake, jumping clear in both the show jumping and cross-country phases to become the first woman to win an Event Rider Masters leg. Leg 2 in 2017 saw Event Rider Masters travel to Europe for the world-renowned Wiesbadener Internationales Pfingstturnier in Germany. Wiesbaden attracted some of the finest German eventers, not least of which the Olympic multi-gold medalist and German equestrian hero, Ingrid.
Tonight, Sarah Cohen has won.
Leg 3 in the series returned to the UK to Barbary Castle in Wiltshire. Tom Carlisle made amends for his misfortune in Chatsworth with an Event Rider Masters record-breaking dressage score of 30.8, going on to comfortably take victory and dethroning the King of Barbary of the previous 5 years, Andrew Nicholson, in the process. The Event Rider Masters headed once again into Europe for Leg 4, the Jardy International Eventing Show near Paris. In a nail-biting finale, the current European and Olympic champion and world #1, Michael Jung, took the Leg 4 win on the slimmest of margins on his Masters debut. Gatcombe Park, Leg 5, the Festival of British Eventing. And as the 2017 Masters Series hit the halfway mark, the points really started to count. 2 poles down left British rider Gemma Tattersall languishing outside the top 10 after the show jumping and seemingly out of the running. But a blistering cross-country round sent the British rider back into contention. Victory at Gatcombe was hers, and with it the series lead going into the penultimate leg of the season. To Blair Castle in Scotland. The penultimate rider on course, Gemma Tattersall. The British rider needed to finish 6th or higher to make her series lead unassailable with 1 leg remaining.
Gemma has been a huge player in Event Rider Masters 2016 and 2017.
53.7, she goes 5th, and that means we have a series winner.
4th at Blair Castle was enough for Tattersall to defeat her rivals, and as the 2017 Event Rider Masters drew to a close at the final leg in Blenheim Palace, the Event Rider Masters celebrated its new champion.
Well, 2017 was quite a year, and we've no doubt that 2018 will have more of the same. Here at Leg 1, we're about to crown our first champion after this afternoon's cross-country. Joining me in the studio for all of the action, very warm welcome, Yogi Breisner. Delighted to have you with us, Yogi. We're looking forward to your expert opinion.
Great, it's great to be here.
And Chatsworth, it's a unique challenge. Echo ratings will tell us it's all about one thing.
Speed. All about speed. I think people are going to get fed up of me saying it, but yeah, you've got to be fast. If you want to be in the top 5 at Chatsworth, I expect it won't be more than 5 time penalties.
Well, we'll be watching this space, all about the speed across the country. But that's us here in the studio. Let's go and say a very good afternoon to Hannah White out on the ground.
Well, I am really in the thick of it, Nicole. I'm standing here just in front of the cross-country starting box. To my right is the collecting ring. There are a couple of practice jumps there. Riders and horses starting to mill around before they go for their cross-country rounds. Now, this Ian Stark renowned course sweeps down the valley towards Chatsworth House before looping back up and finishing just behind me here. Now, I believe only 5 riders have gone clear here or made the time here in nearly 300 runs. So it really is going to be high pressure down here, and we're going to be bringing you all the action.
Well, the tension is certainly building, but it all got underway, the competition yesterday, with the first of the 3 phases, the dressage. Let's go back and take a look.
39 of the world's best horses and riders arrived at the first leg of the 2018 Event Rider Masters, hungry to make their mark on the season opener at Chatsworth House in Derbyshire.
It was awesome to win the Event Rider Master Series last year. I'm riding a really young horse here. He's only an 8-year-old, and this is his first time at this level. I don't think I'm going to win, but we're here to enjoy it and have a good experience.
I sort of do feel like the whole world might be watching, thinking that I can go really fast now, but I think the first phase is probably my big job here, just trying to get her settled for the dressage. But if we can, then she certainly is in with a shout.
Colonel Thibaut Villette on King de Brio spearheaded a strong field of French riders. Their dressage test earning a score of 26.6 from the judges to secure 3rd on the overnight podium. A score of 25.4 for British rider Pippa Funnell and Sandman 7 meant that the combination lay in 2nd at the end of this first day with their excellent performance. But it was Funnell's compatriot Laura Collett on Mr. Bass whose routine impressed the judges the most. Their score of 25.3 meant that the duo just held on to a lead by 0.1 of a penalty going into the show jumping. Join us for all the Day 2 action live on eventridermasters.tv.
Well, the dressage was yesterday. The show jumping was a little bit earlier on this afternoon. We all enjoyed it here in the studio. My word, that leaderboard took a shake-up. Let's go back and look at a few of the key moments. Well, before we get underway with the cross country, this is how the leaderboard looks after the show jumping. That brilliant clear round from Piggy French sees her climb from 4th into the lead, 27.3. She's 3 seconds in hand over Gwendolyn Furr and Romantic Love, who climbed 8 places from 10th to 2nd. The pole down for our dressage leaders, Mr. Bass, costly for them, but they're still in touch in 3rd. A little bit further down the leaderboard, Sandman 7, 2 poles down, dropped them from 2nd to 14th. And one to keep an eye on Ballon Miss, Ludwig Svenestall. They climbed the leaderboard at Gatcombe with a fast clear. They could climb the leaderboard here at Chatsworth. The French didn't have the easiest of times in the show jumping. Donation Joly, Thibaut Villette and Matthew Van Lanegem all having costly rounds that really plummeted them down the leaderboard from perhaps where was expected. And another of those for Karim Le Gouargue, and actually the news in that Karim has withdrawn before going forward to the cross country. So Karim Le Gouargue and Tebi de Uz will not be presenting to the cross country. But still plenty of action to bring you, because my word, some 22 seconds covering the top 20 going into the cross country. It's anybody's game term. You've said speed already. 22 seconds, it's nothing here.
No, I mean, that's the average time penalties actually at the venue over the last, since 2008, 20.9. So very, I mean, when you see that type of spread, that of all of the top CIC 3-star venues in the UK, it's about 13. And this is the highest average finishing score. And that's all to do with the time penalties.
Yogi, what is it about Chatsworth that makes it such a unique challenge?
It is the undulations of the ground. You're always either moving slightly up or slightly down. So when you're going up, it takes a bit of energy out of the horses, slows some horses down that are not necessarily galloping machines. And going downhill, the riders needs to balance the horses, and the keen horses probably need to be balanced more and set up more. So the keen horses helps you going up the hill, but it slows you down going down the hill, and the other way around. The lazy ones, you can keep moving down the hill, but they slow up going up the hill. So
it's a real challenge, isn't it? And Ian Stark, our cross-country course design, and he's set the challenge for our competitors. Let's take a look.
But it's hilly and will provide an incredible challenge for the first leg of the Event Rider Masters. Ian Stark sets the 6 minutes and 5 seconds optimum time around the track, and they'll want to get off to a flying start over the first. The Gypsy Caravan at 6 sets up for an accuracy question at 7A and B, the Norda Know-How Arrowheads. And then there's barely time to breathe before the Dodson and Horrell Queen Mary's Bower. This first water is not just an accuracy, but a power question before the hill climb. 12A, B and C is the Equitrek Endeavour. Here, it's a test of bravery and commitment. At 13A, B and 14, it's the Ice Pond, another chance to dip their toes in the water. Fence 16 is the double of Event Rider Masters Stag's Heads. The terrain here being used by the designer to his best advantage, throwing them down a steep hill and then demanding they catch that final element. Fence 18, the Dodson and Horrell launch, will require pinpoint riding from the world's best.
Close to home, Fence 20, the huge St James's Place rush, related then to the SAP combination with technology. It's all a big technical challenge that comes late in the day for our contenders.
Then they'll shake the reins, keep the horse on the bridle and gallop on to the last, and hopefully victory in the first leg of the 2018 Event Rider Masters.
Well, let's take a look at the running order, because the cross-country will see the final 20 going out in reverse order. Derm, the Equa Ratings ones to watch.
Well, the one to watch very early is Andrew Nicholson, Swallow Springs. That's going to give us, I think, our best lead on where the time sits. They were 1 second over the time last year, traditionally very fast, one of the fastest horses on our speed ratings. Let them give you your lead as to whether this is achievable or not. Keep an eye on Sir Mark Todd McLaren as we get into this group here. I think they'll be very interesting as they continue. Still quite inexperienced at the level, but one that Sir Mark has spoken very highly of, so interesting to follow their development. As we get in here, I think Blythe Tate is very good. Ludwig Svenestall, there's a huge Sammy Birch has a WEG test ahead of her, and Astia Nicola on that young world champion. Again, first time at the level. As we get towards the top, it's going to get very tight in terms of penalties. Sarah Ennis has a record at the venue. Maxime Livio has a record at 4-star level. Call me Maggie May, Izzy Taylor, so experienced. Laura Collett, we've talked about the finishing on dressage score, but as we get to the very top, Piggy French, Quarry Crest Echo, now is the time for Piggy, and I think that's going to be very, very interesting round this afternoon. Just 5.8 time penalties last year. If they can repeat that, I think they're probably there.
Question is, Derm, is she going to be on top of that podium at the end of the day?
Piggy French?
Yep.
No.
No. Who is?
Laura Collett.
Okay. Yogi, you'd be happy to hear that?
I would be happy to hear that. I would be happy to hear any of the British riders up there. But I do think that the two French riders, Maxime and Gwendoline, are very strong in that position, and Sarah Ennis is very strong in that position on very experienced horses.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think Quarry Crest Echo I wouldn't rule out at all. You know, in terms of giving a one-word answer, I would say no, but they absolutely could. Gwendoline Furr, as you mentioned, and I think in particular Cloudamere, Maxime Livio, they would have been the favourite coming into the competition. They've proven speed, they've proven their jump in. I think that was the one we put up at the very start, Nicole, in our preview show. We talked about Horseware Stellar Rebound, we talked about Cloudamere, and we talked about Mr. Bass. I think all of them still have a huge chance.
I think it's fantastic to see so many nations here. If I've counted right, we have about 9 nations taking part, and all of them up there in the top is the right mix. Victoria Pannerson sitting in
Victoria's
8th place, 7th place, is a very, very fast rider, and if all comes together for her, I certainly wouldn't rule her out being very close to the time.
I mean,
that's what the Event Rider Masters is bringing to the table, isn't it? Some really top-class competition, and when we get into these final horses going into reverse order cross-country, the pressure adds another dimension, Yogi. From your perspective, that's a good thing to be able to watch riders under as well.
Oh, definitely. I know selectors from a lot of the different nations would be here seeing how the riders are coping with this type of pressure, and that's what this competition is all about. There is a lot at stake. It's the first leg of the series. There is very good prize money on offer, and it will be exciting. And I think Ian has built a fantastic course for it, because it starts very free, very galloping. They can get into a great rhythm. Not too hilly to begin with, then you come down to quite an intense path through the first water, and then you start going up the hill and have a very significant coffin, second water, and then towards the end of the course is 4 combinations, which all of them requires control, turning and accuracy, and that is when the horses gets tired, riders are chasing the clock, and mistakes can happen.
And they have to take the time to set up. They're not going to be able to make up time in the latter part of the course.
Definitely not.
How's the ground out there?
It's riding very, very good. I think it's fantastic ground. From a racing point of view, you would say it's good ground, good to soft in places. It's dried up well during the day. Had a little bit of rain last night, which hasn't affected the ground at all, really.
Yes.
Well, considering the amount of rain we've had in spring preparations, that is really quite something to be able to enjoy that kind of ground here at Chatsworth. Derm, are we going to see anybody make the time here this afternoon?
Huge question, Nicole. When we think 5 have made it from over 1,300 runs, my gut feeling is telling me yes. I think Andrew Nicholson, Swallow Springs are early on going to give us a very good indication. Sam Watson on Horseware are the highlight, will give us another indication as to whether it's achievable, and probably Donassi and Showley on Pivwan de Touche. I think they're probably the third combination. And he does get close. I actually see Matthew Van Landeghem and True Blafet another. So quite early on, I think we'll get an idea as to whether it's achievable. My gut feeling right now that in a field of this class, it is going to be achievable. I think Maxime Livio, Sarah Ennis, Laura Collett, Gwendoline Furr potentially, they're all people that can make it. The Piggy currently has the lead and she has the advantage, but I think the pressure is going to come on. It's an exciting afternoon.
For an Echo Ratings prediction on those that might make the time?
I think the fairest thing to do, Nicole, would be to ask me after Andrew Nicholson goes.
You're pushing your luck, but I will come back to you after Andrew Nicholson has started or has completed his round. We've got a time for him. So
I'm going to put my neck out here. I'd say 2 will make the time.
You're a much braver man, Yogi, aren't
Yogi,
you?
give me your 2.
I didn't say which ones. I would say that Maxime will make the time, and I will say that Gwendoline will make the time.
Yeah, very interesting. Well, 3 made the time last year, and that actually was more than had made it in all of the 16 years before it. It is achievable. It can be done. having spoken to some riders this morning, they feel that it is achievable. So I think riders are going out there to go for it, you know, and they aren't going out there afraid or on a damage limitation point of view. So I would agree. I think people will make it. Whether it will definitely be less than 3.
Definitely less than 3. What he's basically saying, Yogi, is you're right.
We'll see.
We'll see. We'll watch this space. Well, our pathfinders will be none other than Tim Price and Xavier Fair. Tim ranked number 3 in the world, whereas back number 1. So that means that he is the highest ranked rider in those FEI World Rankings at the time of ballot date when the entries came in. So he will be coming out first on course. Ian Stark's track awaits him, and the top 20 will be running in reverse order of merit, starting with Sir Mark Todd at around 4:45. But of course, plenty of action. We know the leaderboard is going to shake up here on leg 1 of the Event Rider Masters series. Riders just making their final preparations down there in the collecting ring. Yogi, what goes through their mind in those last couple of moments? The last minute checks of the horse?
Yes, I mean, what they try to do is to keep to the same routine as they always do. They ride a lot of different horses at a lot of different competitions throughout the season. Of course, in the back of your mind, particularly for those ones that are sitting high up, it is that, what if, do I have a real chance, what can I do? But these are all experienced competitors and they know how to deal with that pressure.
And one cool cookie to get us underway. There he is, the man who will be our pathfinder. Tim Price and Xavier Fair. This is a horse that was very quick across the country at Badminton back in 2017, finished 3rd on that occasion, having put in one of only 2 clear rounds inside the time in the final phase. So Tim just checking his girth, and Xavier Fair looking really calm and collected. You can just see the clock in the background counting him down. The starter will have told him how long he has left to go. They'll give him a minute's warning, a 30-second warning, and then count him down 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And Tim Price will be away on course. The cross country will be underway here at leg 1 of the 2018 Event Rider Masters series here at the Dodson and Horrell Chatsworth International Horse Trail. So sit back, relax and settle in for what is sure to be an incredible afternoon of sport. Who will take the title? Well, we're about to find out very shortly. Tim Price, Xavier Fair underway, clear of the St Anselm School flying start at 1. Then to the Cope Turner Oxer at 2, and Yogi, a couple of really nice inviting fences to get their round underway.
Yes, all the course builders wants to have 2-3 fences to get them going. Both the first 2 here are very straightforward. And then fence 3, you will see they come up a slope, a slight turn to the right to get to a little bit of a skinny angled hedge. We had a couple of horses, we see him jump that fence there and did it very well. Couple of horses run by that fence this morning with the less experienced horses in the other CIC classes.
And is that Ian Stark, our course designer, just being a little bit clever, saying early on, you know, you've got to take the time to set up for this, respect it?
Yes, and here comes the first combination at number 5, which is a line downhill, 5 or 6 strides up to triple brush. Some get 5 there, some get 6 strides, depending on how brave they are down that line.
Now, in terms of watching the clock, 6 minutes and 5 seconds is the time allowed out on course, the optimum time. 0.4 of a penalty for every second over that time, and that can certainly prove expensive, particularly here at Chatsworth. Does he set out to you, Yogi, looking like he's chasing the clock, or...?
No, he set out in a very nice cross-country rhythm. He's in the right sort of gear for going round, probably ending up somewhere around 12 to 15 time penalties, but sitting where he is in the competition, he's not going to threaten the leaders. So he used this a bit more as a preparation run for what he's going to do later on in the spring and early part of the summer. Again, coming down to this bowl, 3 fences, 4 strides between the first 2, then 3 strides. This looks a fairly straightforward fence, but you see when they go over the fence, there is a drop on the other side and they jump big. And
it's huge.
Yes.
Absolutely huge. Well, now Tim goes outside of that tree. We might see some people shaving as much time as possible. This is Queen Mary's Power, a slightly new look this year, but 2 very skinny obstacles in the middle, and he's made that look very straightforward.
Very straightforward. Again, the distance between the first fence and the triple brush in the water will vary between the horses. Long striding horses can make it on 3, other horses might make it on 4 strides. Tim here had 4 strides very nicely. And this is another big fence that the brave ones will take on an angle, not to waste too much time. That's why Ian has been very clever with the way he's positioned the fence, is that if you take a tight line and prepared to angle some of these big fences, keeping the gallop up into them. You can save time, but you can also lose a lot of time if you go too wide.
And again, this part of the course is a long run uphill now, up to the Haygain House at 11, before one of a real combination on course, which we'll come to in a moment. Just an opportunity for riders to perhaps check their watch and catch up on a bit of time.
Yes, I mean, normally when you go around something like Badminton and Burley, we would have measured the course, we would know where the minute markers are, we would ride with a watch, so you set your stall out. To get the time here, you basically put the foot flat to the board and you go as fast as you can the whole way.
Well, next to go, it is Gemma Tattersall. We're down at the start with Chile Knight, a debutante at this level. And Gemma will be getting underway in just a couple of moments' time. Tim Price at the moment, course all to himself with Xavier Fair. We'll come back to him in the ice pond and we'll hopefully get a clock on him as well, because 2 minutes and 33 shown to get home. And actually, he is on target to make the time as things stand at the moment.
Well, I'm glad that we saved our prediction until
you saved your prediction. Yogi put his out like the brave man he is.
His. I think if the Tim round goes inside the time, yes, Xavier Fair has a high cruising speed. We saw that at Badminton 2017, but visually, Yogi, and I would hand over to your expertise on this. If Xavier Fair was inside the time, from what we've seen, it would suggest that the ones that press the button are well inside.
They will get it, but he's not home yet. He's just come up a very steep hill, jumped a big fence, and then he's down to 2 fences here, which is fairly straightforward for horses on this level. But now he comes into quite an intense part of the course. He's going to go over a wide oxer. Most horses will take 6 curving strikes to quite a big corner, and then after that again a wide fence and 2 other narrow elements afterwards, so that will slow them down.
And he'll be taking the time to set up for those combinations, so he won't be able to catch up on time at all. We'll keep a very close eye on his clock. Gemma Tattersall being counted down at the start. She won here 12 months ago. That was with Quick Look, and it set her on her way to the 2017 series title. She's not going to be winning here today. This just an inexperienced 8-year-old, but she'll be out to give this horse a real confidence-building run across the country. And 43.6, certainly one for the future, Yogi.
No, definitely. Not very nicely bred horse by Chile Morning, and as I said, it's an 8-year-old, first time on this level, so she will use this to give the horse the right sort of experience to then go on in the future.
Well, next we will see Tim Price and Xavier Fair coming towards home in a moment, but Gemma at this tricky 3rd fence takes that on the angle very easily. Yep. And has set out in a pretty comfortable rhythm across the country.
Come to the 2nd last complex, a big ditch with a hedge behind, and then a left-hand corner and a right-hand corner, all of it done. First a right turn, then a left turn. He now has got 8 seconds to get back home. He won't make the time.
He's not going to be a huge amount over, though. No. He's not going to be a huge amount over. Tim Price, Xavier Fair heading towards home. The clock has turned red. The penalties are ticking up. And 0.4 of a penalty for every second over that. And he's safely home. And a good round from Tim. 13 seconds over the time. And that sees him complete safely.
Yes, so 5.2 time penalties. A little bit quicker than I thought when he first set out, which actually shows that those parts of the course, while there are a lot of jumping to be had, are not slowing them up as much as maybe I thought. And it also proves that the ground has dried out. So here comes Gemma to that first combination of 3 fences. Again, she did that really, really well, landed and then just moved the horse up forward. And here again to this big fence with a big drop, little slap down the shoulder just to make sure that he concentrates.
Such a promising horse. I think the time's going to be very interesting for Chile Knight as well. Here we see them, Yogi, coming to Queen Mary's Bower. I'll come back to the time in a moment, but
it's a big question for a young horse, Yogi.
Yes, and it's the first time they get their feet wet. They can just about land on dry land and then have to step into the water. She kept the horse well together and go to 4 strides, very comfortable for the horse, and then she could move nicely forward. There is a nice uphill slope to the C element, which makes that coming up very nicely for the horse. Often when horses jump fence is going uphill. Hind legs comes in underneath and it becomes easier for them. The fence she's just jumped now, there is a little bit of a downhill approach to that, so the rider needs to sit up and balance the horse.
I think what's very interesting about Chilly Knight, yes, Nicole, the record is at the level below. I know you're going to mention that to me if I say it, but 6 runs in the last 12 months, 6 completions, 6 jumping clears, and 4 of them inside the time. Average time penalties of just 0.8. Yogi, it's a very different test when you get the 3-star, but it's a very promising horse.
It's
and
a very promising horse,
record.
yes. And Gemma is a fast rider. She's naturally a good fast rider, as is Tim Price, which we showed because he didn't look fast. So Andrew Nicholson just started jumping the second fence. You can see straight away how economical he is with his line, keeping it absolutely straight. And he's coming up to fence 3, where he will get a little kinks and then up the slope.
Yogi, you mentioned line. One of the really interesting developments that SAP are working on with at the moment is the tracking developments. We're able to see the lines that people are taking cross country. We're able to monitor that against the speed. It's going to be a big part of the media, the feedback that we're able to give fans, but also I would think training to be able to look at not necessarily the tightest line doesn't necessarily always mean the fastest or the most economical. Sometimes the wider line but maintaining the higher speed.
Absolutely. So when you see the scores being very, very close together like they are in the modern sport, a second here and a second there can mean a place or 2 coming up and down. We only have to see the time penalty that Sarah Ennis got in the show jumping, dropped her 2 places, and therefore going around a cross-country course like this one, who is 3,430 meters, I believe, long, if you can save a little bit of ground here, if you can maintain a high cruising speed for as much as possible and take as few strides as possible around the course, you're going to be quicker. So Gemma comes down to this fairly straightforward combination, but there's a steep hill down, and then he was just showing a little bit of his greenness coming into that brush, which is fairly angled, and you have to be accurate of the line that you jump, and he just wandered around a little bit.
Well, Andrew Nicholson, Swallow Springs at this big table that precedes Queen Mary's Bower, supported by Dodson and Hurrell fence 9, A, B and C. And he's a little bit down on the clock as he gets here, but only some 7 or 8 seconds. Of course, he will need to catch that up if he is to achieve that 6 minutes and 5 second optimum time.
Interesting to get Yogi's feedback on that. If you're down in the early part of the course, Yogi, I would have thought it's a course that's probably hard to make it up in the second part.
Definitely, and as I said, if you want to get the time here, there is only one way, and that is to go flat out from the beginning, or as fast as you possibly can do, still staying safe. Andrew is giving that horse a very sensible ride, setting it up nicely. So Gemma is coming to the latter part of the course. She's coming to the last big combination, which is a ditch with a hedge behind it, and then the right-hand turn to corner and the left-hand turn to another corner. This is where Andrew Nicholson has got such a smooth style. He knows exactly what speed he's going. Here comes Gemma to the big ditch there. Control, nice turn. Sets the horse up, makes sure that the horse has read the question. Is taking her time.
And he's going to be over the time here, but I mean, Gemma's had a really super round on this young horse and one to keep a close eye on for the future.
Definitely. And the horse feels happy with himself. He's got his ears pricked and would have learned a lot from that round.
One of Gemma's big strengths in the Event Rider Masters has been the depth of her string. We still have Santiago Bay that we might see later this year, but now I think we've another one. Chilly Knight now on the scene. It's such a strength for a rider to be able to bring through a string like that, particularly for a series like the Event Rider Masters where different courses are suiting different horses. I think Chilly Knight can join that group now.
Of course, and then of course you have the big long format CCI competitions like Badminton, Burley, Bramham, Blenheim and all of those competitions, plus the championship which riders are aiming for. If they have a string of horses, they can participate in all of these different competitions. So you just got Willa Newton on the course, having gone through that first combination.
She'd be ruining those 2 down in the show jumping, Yogi, because she was delighted with her dressage with this horse.
Yes, that would have been she would have been very pleased with the score. I don't know if it's a personal best, but it would be very close to a personal best dressage wise. So 2 rails down, disappointing.
Well, at the Event Rider Masters Stags Heads, Andrew Nicholson, Swallow Springs. 15 seconds down on the clock there, so aren't going to achieve that optimum time. But certainly won't be far off. Willa Newton, chance remark. Through the combination, the Norden O-How 7A and B.
So it's interesting to see the speed on the screen. So she's sitting there around the 28, 29, 30 kilometers an hour speed, which is a good cruising speed, but she's just setting up. She's taking quite a lot of care with each of the jumps.
That's a very interesting point. Again, something that we're beginning to learn from the analysis that we're taking from those SAP trackers. The setup time is very important. What we're seeing around fences, you know, and particularly I guess at Chatsworth where we've got the undulations, you will see riders and horses go through a range of different speeds over the course of a track. It isn't simply a case of being able to say a fast horse will make it here.
Definitely, and it is how late in the approach to the fence the rider dares to take the horse back. A strong horse, you often have to start slowing down earlier because it takes longer time for him to slow down, whilst a horse that is less strong, you can gallop right up to the fence, just sit up, woo him for a stride or two, and you're in the right speed.
Andrew Nicholson, 10 seconds left on the clock. He's about 20 seconds down with Swallow Springs as he comes through this final combination, which really demands respect from our riders. And they pop through there very neatly, but the clock has turned red. Those penalties are ticking on up. 0.4 of a penalty for every second over the optimum time. And Andrew can now motor on towards home. But good to see Swallow Springs finishing so full of running, Yogi.
Yes, definitely. So, you know, he has ridden a very sensible round from the position he is in. There is no point of overdoing it. The horse has had a nice run on good ground, ears pricked, finishes 23 seconds over the time. I think he will be pleased with that.
Well, we said we'd wait for him to give us our indication. Of course, Yogi, one of the things we have to take into account, as you say, is those riders are probably, given their position in the competition, they know that potentially a win is beyond them at that stage, and they are riding more conservatively.
Absolutely. This is the first time we see one of the riders through the main water complex here at Chatsworth. Two big tables in the water, which is unusual. We do often get fences in the water, but not two big wide tables. Willa, there are 3 strides between them. Willa came in very sensible, but then the horse was just green, spooked at the second element and actually banked it. And Willa was very secure in her position, then just gave the horse a little reminder about concentrating and getting on with the job.
Well, Willa Newton, chance remark in 25th position on 37.6 as they came forward to the cross country. Haven't been really pressing down on the accelerator.
No, I think she looks to be the slowest one so far on the course. But, you know, she knows her horse, she knows what she wants to achieve with it. And sometimes, even in these competitions, even though riders come here and very much wants to win, they will still look at the bigger picture where they want to be with the horses later on in the spring, in the summer, and for the rest of the season.
Well, confirmed score for Tim Price, 5.2 time penalties across the country. So they have 46.3. As Sam Watson, Horseware Arda Highlight, put in that beautiful clear round when second in the show jumping. That pulled them 12 places up the leaderboard.
Yes, and looking here, he's certainly not started slow. He's gone into a good rhythm straight away. Has been very good through that first water combination. This horse here, he is very, very, very genuine and jumps extremely well, but he has a little bit of a habit and a tendency to want to just drift out a little bit through his right shoulder. So when he comes later on in the course and he has to jump those corners, he has got a left-hand corner, but he does have a second last fence, a right-hand corner, and I'm sure Sam, when he gets there, will make really sure that that horse stays straight.
Well, you can see the SAP graphic on the screen there as Sam really pushes down on the accelerator, taking advantage of that long run up the hill to the Haygain House at 11. Well, waiting down at the start, it is Matt Heath now underway, one of a kind. 34.5 dressage, 1 pole down and a time penalty in the show jumping, 39.5 for them. But Willa Newton heading towards home, just having to fight a little bit to get
the control she wants, yes. And you can see there, he's just a little bit impatient, want to get on with it, and Willa just makes sure that he's looking at what he's doing and she gets the line she wants. Modern cross-country riding is very much about getting the horse in the correct speed for what the course designer have asked you to do, and then ride the correct line.
Well, 30 seconds over the time. Willa Newton and a Chance Remark heading home, but this time certainly hasn't been chased so far. Sam Watson, Horseware Arda highlights at the Chicks Retreat Ice Pond. 2 minutes 15 left to get home on the clock. Just got in quite tight to that skinny element, separately numbered at 14, isn't it?
Yes, so the rider have the option of making a circle if they should be in trouble, but I don't think really that is necessary. But again, coming up the slope to the fence means that it's very easy for the horse to get out of and jump the fence even when they meet it very close.
Well, Willa Newton finished with Chance Remark, so she's completed as right at the top of the hill, that long run up the hill. Sam Watson and Chance Remark heading down now to the Event Rider Masters Stags Heads. Would need to be here with around 1 minute 53 left on the clock, taking off from the first of these elements. So well over 20 seconds down on the clock. Doesn't look to be chasing that optimum time of 6 minutes and 5 seconds, but certainly Horseware Arda highlight looking very happy and travelling within himself. Matt Heath, one of a kind. Slightly new look to that combination, but it's jumping well, Yogi.
Jumping very well, and on this level with these horses, that sort of fence they should treat very much as almost like a gymnastic jumping exercise. 4 strides, 3 strides, pretty much in line the whole thing. And yes, 2 of them are skinny, but they are not overly so.
Well, Matt Heath and one of a kind at the Dodson and Horrell Queen Mary's Bower. Pushing for that final element, the skinny on the way out, but very straight through the flags.
Again, we talked about speed over the ground, so after that fence, Matt ended up going up around the tree, which of course is going to be that little bit longer. Again, he's being way down the field, he's not necessarily pushing the time, just goes a little bit wide around the corner to that fence, and he's not quite accelerating away from the fences the same as I'm sure we will see later on in the day.
Easily clear of the Skinny Brands flyer at 10. Matt Heath, one of a kind, heading on up the hill now. As further on in his round, Horseware Arda highlights Sam Watson will be nearing the end of their round. They're clear of the St James's Place flyer at 20. This is the last real question.
So here he's got that right-hand turn. You can see the horse just wanting to lean out a little bit, took the red flag with him, but he was clearly inside it, so shouldn't cause the fence judge any problems at all.
Well, Sam Watson, Horseware Arda highlight to just the last to go, but it's been a really good round from this combination. They'll be over the time by some 30 seconds or so, but weren't chasing that optimum time. A good double clear.
Saw Matthew Heath through that combination, rail, ditch, rail, a classic cross-country fence. What's difficult with that fence is that you have quite a steep downhill approach to the first set of rails, but so far through the competition it seems to have been riding very well. Into those 2 tables in the water, 3 nice strides, the horse jumped that very well, good turn, and beautifully out over the next one. Again, like with Sam Watson, Matthew is just taking his time here, giving the horse a nice round.
So Matt Heath, one of a kind, just under 2 minutes left on the clock to get home. And he heads right up to the top. It's a long pull up that hill before he heads to the Event Rider Masters Stags Heads. But Sam Watson home safely with Horseware Arda highlight, and ears pricked. Ben, as he's known at home, looking full of running, and I think they'll be really happy with that round.
Yes, very much so. Both horse and rider looked very comfortable the whole way through, as is Matthew Heath with one of a kind. This is a lovely fence, not overcomplicated. I certainly wouldn't call it a difficult fence, but it has the downhill slope to it. You need to just steady the horse and balance him before the log. Then you have a beautiful, nice run down to the hedge, which should give the riders a great ride.
Well, coming to the water, Bill Levitt, Shannondale Titan, 38.8 at Bill's starting score. 1 pole down and 3 time from the show jumping. St Mary's Bower.
They just steadied the horse nicely through the water there between the B and the C element to get a nice jump out. Again, being down the field, he's taking his time. You can see on the speed he's going. Took a long time for him to get up to the sort of 25-30 kilometers an hour thing, whilst some of the others were just that little bit quicker. Nice turn, lovely jump over that big fence. On the television, that fence doesn't look all that big, but when you walk around it and you walk up to it,
it's a tricky angle as well.
It is a tricky angle.
Ian Stark, the course designer, certainly asking questions, just asking riders to go off their line slightly. And of course, taking that gradual time. So away from the start, it is Donatien Choly, Pivoine des Touches, one of a number of French combinations in the field. And they come forward in 23rd position.
So here comes Matthew Heath to that last combination. Two big corners, jumped them well, took the white flag with him, but he was well inside it, so again, shouldn't bother the fence judge.
So Matt Heath, some 30 seconds plus, he's going to be over the time. And those time penalties really do add up very quickly, but one of a kind, finishing full of running. And just taking a pull for that final fence. Frederick's ice cream finish at fence 22. 22 numbered obstacles, 34 jumping efforts in total out on this track. That's coming to the Chicks Retreat at 30. Bill Levitt, Shannondale Titan. Bill 20 seconds down on the clock as he jumped the first of those oxes in the water. But doesn't look to have been chasing the time. I think we're going to get a good indication of the time a little bit later on, but my early feeling is it is achievable.
Again, I would probably hand over to Yogi in terms of intuition. It's very difficult from a data point of view to get a read early when you're taking into account behavioural factors such as where people sit in the course and whether they feel they want to push their horses to go for it. You would expect that they don't want to push early on, but yeah, I mean, it still looks to me that the horses at the top end who really push the button and decide they want to go for the win will not be picking up time penalties anywhere near to what we're seeing at the moment. What's interesting for me is the jumping looks more straightforward than we've potentially seen in other years. Queen Mary's Bower, if I remember, in Event Rider Masters has always been very influential.
Well, Donatien Choly is approaching Queen Mary's Bower with Pivoine des Touches, a combination who went double clear on their Event Rider Masters debut for a top 10 finish in Jardy last year. Had 2 down in the show jumping today, proved expensive in that phase for them. Dropped them right down the order, having been in the top 10 after the dressage. But they're safely and quickly clear through there, Yogi.
Yes, again, you can see when he's cantering along here, he is pricked in a very, very nice rhythm. But like Dermot is saying, we haven't seen anyone really starting to put the foot down and go, which you wouldn't expect at this stage of the competition. And so there we see Bill Levitt going down the combination of big oxer, 3 or 4 strides to a very skinny, slightly angled hedge, and then another 3 shortish stride to another skinny, and then move up a gear, and you've got a nice, lovely big hedge to jump before you come around a turn to this last combination. But looking at the horses, the way they're finishing, so far they're all finishing very happy, ears pricked, very comfortable with the speed the riders have put them into. And when you look at Tim Price, who has been the fastest so far, he looks very comfortable within himself, and I would have thought that it wouldn't have taken much for him to actually go inside the time. So maybe my 2 is going to be proven wrong, but we'll see.
Well, Bill Levitt, Shannondale Titan, already well over the time, but safely through the SAP Brushwood Technology corners at 21A and B. And actually, that was the fence that they came to grief at 12 months ago. So Bill will no doubt be delighted to have this horse home. Just the last jump as Donatien Choly, Pivoine des Touches, coming to the Chicks Retreat Ice Pond. Actually, he's going to be some 20 seconds down on the clock at the first of those boxes in the water. But he's away safely clear. So Donatien Choly, the French really did come over here in force this weekend. 8 combinations in total. It's a big test for them in terms of the selectors watching very closely ahead of the World Equestrian Games a little bit later on this year. So all looking to impress. And Donatien comes to the Event Rider Masters Stags Heads. If you're just joining us, then in the studio with me, Yogi Breisner, and from Echo Ratings, Derm Byrne as well. And well underway with the cross-country phase here at the Dodson Hall Chatsworth International Horse Trials, but Donatian, 1 minute and 20 to get home. As away goes another Frenchman. It is Matthew Van Lanigan and Trouble Fête in 30th position after the first couple of phases after the show jumping, but of course some combinations have already gone. He had 2 poles and 2 time penalties to add from Dye Body's show jumping track.
And the horse just a fraction hesitant jumping into the water there, but he certainly, when he's galloping, this horse looks to have a big long stride on him, and he is definitely pushing on a little bit more than we have seen from the last few riders. Got a big jump down to that one, came off the turn, saw a good stride and just pressed the horse in there, and he jumped it in a lovely way.
Well, beautifully turned out throughout the week, Trouble Fête. And don't forget, you can vote on our social media platforms for your Event Rider Masters Supergroom. Just use the hashtag ERM Supergroom. Hi-Ho Silver very kindly once again donating a prize for each of the Supergrooms, each leg in the series. As preparing to get underway, Emily King and Dargan. Emily, one of the top young riders on the circuit, 37.2 her starting score. And a pole and a couple of time penalties from the show jumping. Has a huge leap at the St James's Place Flyer. And a very economical turn to the SAP with technology brushes. Donatian Sholey is not hanging around right at the very end of the course, Yogi.
Rode that extremely well, great rhythm. And beautifully through that rail ditch from Matthias.
Well, Donatian Sholey, the clock is red. He's some 30-something seconds over the time. He's going to be over 40 seconds over. So he's not going to challenge the top of the leaderboard, but a good clear round for Pivoine des Touches. 42 seconds in total, 16.8 time, 53.7. So Donatian is home safely as Matthew Van Lanigan at the Chips Retreat Ice Pod had to push for that a little bit.
Had to push. Met the first one on not the best of strides, was very deep to the horse, hit it in front, and then when he landed he needed to just get the engine going again to get the 3 strides to the next jump.
Well, the leader at the moment of those who have completed, Xavier Fair, Tim Price on 46.3, so that is the score to beat, but of course a long way to go. Matthew Van Lanigan and Trouble Fête at the Event Rider Masters at Stag's Head. At the top of the course, 16 A and B. And he's only 1 minute 25 left on the clock. He should, jumping into that combination, have 1 minute 53, so he's well down.
And this horse here, I thought, started out very well, very economical in its stride. Definitely shortened its stride now, and it's not tired as such, but I think that the hills have just taken the best out of him.
Emily King Dargan at this new combination on course. The Northern Know-How 7A and B, and riders really angling that first element, Yogi, to get a good line to the second.
Get a good line to the second one, and then a nice 3 strides to the last one. Jumped that beautifully out of his stride and then landed and accelerated away.
All coming to the Dodson and Hurrell Queen Mary's Bower at 9 A, B and C. Emily King Dargan. So Dargan safely through Queen Mary's Bower and confidently done, and just went outside that tree, not shaving the time as I think we'll see a few of the later riders.
That's right, but she's the first one who has gone 3 strides through the first 2 elements of the water.
Emily just sets up to angle that enormous table as at the St James's Place Flyer. Matthew Van Lanigan and Trouble Fête. Last real question, the SAP brush with technology, swings left-handed and easily clear through there, so he kicks on towards home. He's going to be well over the time, Matthew, we believe, but he's finishing just the last to go, and It'll be a clear round across the country for him if he can negotiate the Fredericks Ice Cream finish, fence number 22 on course. And he pops that very neatly. So he's home safely. Matthew Van Lanegem and Trouble Effect putting behind them their troubles in the show jumping. Would have been disappointed with their round over Die Body's track, but certainly a clear round across the country now. Well, 14 time penalties in total, so 53.4 for Matthew. Emily King goes through the Equitrek Endeavour, 12 A, B and C. Just under 2 minutes left on the clock. She comes to the Chicks Retreat Ice Pond. And again, well down on the clock. How difficult or different is it jumping out of water, Yogi?
I mean, this water is not all that deep, so you don't get that drag. The deeper the water, the more it slows the horse's feet down. It's very important that the rider slows down so that the feet are moving at the same speed as the body, because otherwise the horses start stumbling. The same as if we run out in the sea and we run too fast.
Well, news just coming in actually. Emily King had a refusal at the second fence, which would be a slightly unusual obstacle to have a problem at, hence why she's carrying those 20 penalties out on course. Arthur Dufour and Simi for France, one of those 8 French combinations in the field. Didn't have the easiest of times in the show jumping. 14 to add, so 45.7 sees them in 28th position at the moment as they come to Queen Mary's Bower. 9 A, B and C, and this has jumped well so far, Yogi.
Jumped very well so far. Oh.
The curse of the commentator. Well, 20 penalties for that run past at the first skinny in the water. Now this is quite tricky because how does he come round to represent now?
It's not that easy to come round, so there is no black flag alternative, so he has to come round, present again. The horse is hanging out but got over it the second attempt, unlike the C element where you have just as he goes past that an alternative if you have run past that, but the middle one you have to represent that.
Well, he clears it at the second time of asking, but 20 penalties on their card. Arthur Dufour, Simi.
The king of social media in the eventing world, and a great opportunity to remind you. #EAEventing if you want to join in the conversation.
As next away, it is Chiletto H, Ben Hobday in the plate, 39.7 their score coming forward. Unlucky to have the final fence down in the show jumping, which just pushed them down the order slightly. So 39.7 their score. And in 26th place at the moment. 6 minutes and 5 seconds is that optimum time. In the cross country, we've yet to see anybody really go for it. And early indications would be that it is achievable. The ground out there would be helping that as well.
Yes, it is drying out and it is great ground for horses to gallop on. But you can see here on these shots, the undulations, even when it kind of looks as if it's flat, it's still just a little bit up and down. Even here the horse drops down into this first corner of the last complex, downhill again to this one, and then you run slightly uphill and then downhill again to the water.
Arthur Dufour, Simi carrying those 20 penalties from the Dodson and Hall Queen Mary's Bower, coming to the top of the hill after that really long run uphill to the Chicks Retreat Ice Pond. And fairly significant right-hand turn to the Skinny Brush at the last element.
Definitely a 90-degree turn, but you have got plenty of room and you have a nice uphill run to the sea, to number 14.
Well, brilliant aerial shots of Arthur Dufour, Simi. Get a really good indication of just how undulating this ground is.
But it also really shows what a beautiful park we are competing in. Beautiful trees, lovely greenery and a fantastic setting.
Very lucky to be here, the seats of the Dukes of Devonshire, as Ben Hobday, Chiletto H, coming to the big jewellery box table, and he took a real fly there. Would it be fair to say Ben is actually looking to be motoring pretty quick here, Yogi?
He is at the moment, yes. He started out a little bit steady over the first couple, but he's definitely put the foot down now. Good through there, quick and economical, and accelerates away inside the trees to the most economical line.
We'll be keeping a very close eye on his time as Ben Hobday.
But you can see here again, if you compare to the grey horse, earlier, this horse here is a little bit rounder in his action, so he doesn't cover the ground quite as much. So sometimes they look faster than they really are.
Arthur Dufour, see me at the Event Rider Masters Stag's Head. Clear through both elements there. And Arthur just steadily making his way home now, carrying those 20 penalties from a little bit earlier on in his round at the Dodson and Horrell Queen Mary's Bower. As down at the start, it is Tom Crisp, Liberty and Glory, on a score of 40.6. First into the show jumping. They were in 39th position after dressage, pulled up 13 places with that good clear round. And Tom quickly away. This a horse that he did say could be fast across the country, so it'll be interesting to see if he really does push for that optimum time. 6 minutes and 5 seconds, remember. Ben Hobday. The combination at 12, the Equitrek Endeavour. Easily clear of all three elements there. Now Ben would need to be taking off for the first of these boxes with 2:33 left on the clock, so he's about 6 seconds down.
Again, just had to push to get those three strikes between the two tables, but beautifully out there for number 14. And now he pushed away, and you know, the horse didn't just find that much as he pushed away.
So Ben Hobday continues on towards the latter part of his round, as very nearly home now, clear of the St James's Place flyer. Arthur Dufour and Simi. The clock is ticking up now. Plenty of time penalties to add to his score. And he really took his foot off the accelerator after those 20 penalties. Ben Hobday at the Event Rider Masters Stag's Head. And actually the time slipping away from Ben a little bit here. 14 seconds down as he jumped the first of those elements.
After you come through that last water complex, it is a very steep hill up to number 15, which is a big fence. And then you do run down a bit again, but the horses just need to fill their lungs, get a little bit more air into their lung coming up that hill, and I think it slows them down more than we think.
Tom Crisp and Liberty and Glory coming to the Dodson and Horrell Queen Mary's Bower. 9 A, B and C.
Quick update for you, Nicole. 10 rounds, 9 clears. Average time penalties from those first 10, 15.4. We've talked about it a little bit already, but we would be expecting to see that even at Chatsworth, where time averages about 20. Even at a venue this difficult, we would be expecting on everything we've seen. Looks like a jumpable track based on the numbers and based on the feedback from you guys, but also I would expect those time penalties to drop. But will they? How significantly will they drop? Average of 15.4 at the moment, Yogi. We'd still probably be looking at the ones who are pressing the button could still end up in kind of the 4 to 5 range.
Yes, I mean they could do it. I think still we are waiting until we come into the last sort of 12 or 15 before we are going to see anyone really starting to blaze away. Whoops.
An uncomfortable leap. There is an enormous ditch in front of that.
It's a very big ditch, and you don't want to come too fast because then the turn to the first corner becomes more difficult. But Ben just didn't have the greatest of strides. The horse was very good to him. He found his way over and then just had a little dive off that last corner.
Well, Ben Hobday and Chiletto H just the last to go as he comes down to the Fredericks Ice Cream finish at 22. The clock has turned red. Those time penalties are ticking up now on your screen. But he clears the last and he goes on to complete a clear round across the country as Tom Crisp, Liberty and Glory. 2 minutes and 30 on the clock as they head into the ice pond. Neatly clear of both of those, swing right-handed to this brush, and one of the best shots that we've seen there actually.
Very economical through there, and this horse here, when he pushed on after number 14 going up the slope, actually responded well.
Well, he kicks on up the hill now, so Tom Crisp disappears from sight, but well into the latter stages of his round, and some big questions still to come for him. We'll see him.
So just jumped a big fence at the top of that hill after the water. Now he's running down to the very prettily decorated antlet fence.
And that antlet fence actually came from Blair Castle for the 2015 European Championships, those Stag's Heads.
That's correct.
And Tom actually to be full of running Liberty and Glory. This mare, 11 years of age, was homebred and actually originally started her eventing career with Tom's wife, Sophie.
It's nice to see when someone has bred their own horse and they're going up the grades and then they're coming up to this level of competition.
Well, Sam Griffith's Gutera Share underway now. Sam brings forward this horse who's relatively inexperienced at this level. Only the one run under the horse's belt. That was at Belton a little bit earlier on this year. One time penalty in the show jumping that marred an otherwise incredibly flawless round. And 36.5 their score coming forwards. Dodson and Horrell Queen Mary's Bower. One combination out so far, but no such problems for Sam.
So clear through the Dodson and Horrell product launch goes Liberty and Glory.
So Sam Griffith's Gutera Share in the backdrop of Chatsworth House. Swings left-handed to the Skinny Brands Flyer. And as we've said, Yogi, it really is quite an enormous obstacle. Sometimes to appreciate the size and the width of these fences, you have to sort of walk up to them.
Absolutely, and Sam is, I think, doing a fantastic job with a relatively inexperienced horse. He's giving the horse time to figure out what the fences require from him, and time to go and jumping, but being right in behind him and supporting him all the way. And that was as neat through that last combination as we've seen anyone, and probably as quick as we've seen anyone bar Tim Price so far.
Certainly not hanging around. Liberty and Glory looking full of running for Tom Crisp as he comes to the final fence, ears pricked. And the quickest round so far, 5.2 time penalties. That was 13 seconds over. So this is going to go into the second fastest round of the day so far. As Sam Griffith's
again, Sam did a great job. The horse was just a little bit green into that, which is a very difficult combination. It doesn't look much because it's just that rail hanging in the air with a lot of air underneath it, but you have a steep downhill approach to the first rail. And when the horses come into that rail with the ditch afterwards, the eye is caught by the ditch. So they have to concentrate on jumping the first element at the same time as they're looking into the hollow of the ground. And that's a lovely shot of Sam going through the top water here, 3 strides as we said before, and then away again up the slope.
Well, Sam Griffiths and Gutera Share in 21st position coming into the cross country, 36.5 their score, away from the Chicks Retreat Ice Pond at 13A and B, and a long run up the hill then to the Derbyshire Life fence at 14. It's a real fitness and stamina test here, isn't it, Yogi?
It is a fitness and stamina test, and also it's because of the undulations, it's not easy to go quick across the ground.
So Sam Griffiths through the Event Rider Masters Stag's Head combination. 1:20 left on the clock. He's not going to have enough to get home inside that time. As away goes our latest starter, Carlos Parry. Maismar Fox underway, rides this horse for Hidden Valley CP. Well, Yogi, you're going to leave us now. You've got to go and watch some people out on the course, but thank you very much for your insight. We've been delighted to have you with us.
Great, it's been a pleasure, and I hope it continues to be a great competition.
I'm sure it will be, I'm sure it will be. Yogi Breisner just leaving us here in the studio, and we'll have another guest with us in just a couple of moments' time. But Carlos Parry, Maismar Fox coming to the Dodson and Horrell Queen Mary's Bower. And clear of the first 2 elements, not hanging around, clear of the 3rd element as well. So the sole Brazilian in the field. And actually a Brazilian made the time here last year. Marcio George Coronel MCJ, one of 3 who achieved that optimum time. And Carlos goes on to the Skinny Brands Flyer at 10, as we are joined by a man who's had a good insight into the course already, Sam Watson. Sam, we're very pleased to have you with us because we're hoping you're going to tell us how it's going to ride and give us a more healthy prediction on those inside the time than Durham would commit to.
It rode well. I think it's going to be different as people really try and go for that time. That's what makes these cross-country courses really a test. I sort of trained the horse around there. He was good. He didn't waste too much time in between the fences, but at the fences I was just trying to get him to wait.
Sam Griffiths, Gutera Share This is a tricky combination, isn't it, Sam? Because it's an enormous ditch and brush, and then it's a real accuracy question.
Yeah, so that's 3 fences where you'll see people going through it at a range of probably up to about 8 seconds different. So if you're just doing that at home, you could make nice curvy lines. To be fair, Sam was quite conservative there with his lines. If you know that you are in line to win some of this Event Rider Masters cash, then they're going to be going for it, and they're going to try and be tighter on those lines, and that's when it gets more difficult.
Well, Janelle Price, Fairy Dynamo underway. There's a horse owned by Jackie Green, Trisha Rickards and Janelle herself. Very experienced Janelle, and this horse hugely experienced as well. They competed at the Rio Olympics together. Top 20 individual finish there. 39.3 their score coming forwards.
Yeah, nice. That combination, Ian Stark really using the undulation there, which is something I love to see in the cross country. It makes it less predictable as to what's going to happen. It's a very upright duck going in. And again, you're going to see the riders who are trying to beat that Chatsworth clock. They're going to cut that turn quite fine coming into it. The horses are going to see it quite late. And that's when you could just see a horse leave a leg, and then the rider gets a little bit unbalanced, and then we get some excitement, see if they can jump that triple brush.
Well, Carlos Parro, Maismar Fox, just coming down to the Event Rider Masters Stags Heads at 16 A and B.
So he's really checked there. I think we don't know the history with the horses. I always say train the opposite. So if a horse is particularly strong cross country, sometimes these riders will be making a point of saying to the horse, come on, you got to listen to me. Carlos really checking at that point. Here's the water. So Janelle's done the nice 4 there. And so you can see this is quite a neat horse, quite compact. You can go through there on 3 and 4, and it's a little bit more forwards and it's quite open. But it's not the option that would probably suit this horse naturally anyway. So Janelle just made that look so easy on the 4 and 5. Really nice. And I think just looking at her now, she's giving her a nice round. She's not going particularly slowly, but she's not going at the pace that's required to beat the clock here.
And I'm sure we will see a number of riders coming forward to beat the clock very shortly. We're about to head into the top 20 in a couple of riders' time, the top 20 running in reverse order of merit. So next away, it will be Thibaut Valette and King de Brio, a horse who had 3 down in the show jumping. Uncharacteristic, they were 3rd after dressage. The individual bronze medalists from the Blair Castle European Championships back in 2015, part of the French team that won Team Gold in 2016, and as part of their preparations for the Rio Olympics, they did actually come and finish on the podium here. Well, Carlos Parro, Maismar Fox, actually looking to...
He's looking to be walking around in the wrong place.
I think he's had a retirement out on course. He's had a refusal at fence at 17, which is the Brocklehurst Be Smart, the big corner. So he's just decided to put his hand up, retire, and save themselves for another occasion.
Lovely through the coffin from Janelle. Fairy Dynamo is bouncing. She was so athletic over those 3 elements, and she's getting her back here. This could be a bit long now on the 3. Well, the cameraman zoomed away, but here we go. Very nice, nicely through there.
Well, Janelle Price and Fairy Dynamo head away from the Chicks Retreat Ice Pond. And
I think the time, Nicole, is going to be achievable, and I quite like that. There's been years in the past where we had said about Chatsworth, okay, if there's a Chris Burton in the field or an Oliver Townend, maybe, or a Classic Moe, but I think that it's gettable, and that's quite important for the dynamic of that top 10, because if it was impossible, there'd be some people who are just not on the quickest horses, and they'd sort of wave the white flag before they go out the start box. But everybody knows that it's all to play for, and it is doable. So it's going to get very exciting as we go into that last 15, I would say.
Well, I've no doubt we'll see people chasing the clock, but Thibaut Valette and King de Brio coming through the combination at 7, the Norda Know-How. A new look to that fence this year by course designer Ian Stark, has jumped pretty well so far.
It's a very nice fence, that. It's probably, aside from the bit of width on the table coming into it, it's more probably of a 2-star fence. The skinnies aren't quite what they could be, and it's just on a nice bit of flat ground. 2, 3, 4. A little tighter on the 4. And then he gets close on the 5 as well. So just not quite as smooth through there as Janelle was.
Well, Ferry Dynamo and Janelle Price coming towards the end of their round at the Dodson and Hurrell Elite Sport Muesli launch. A question of accuracy near the end of the track as they come, and they just have the 4 jumping efforts remaining. They'll be at the St James's Place Flyer in just a second. It's been a comfortable round from Janelle and Ferry Dynamo.
So I was going to call, she's going to get about 10.8 time penalties, I would say.
10.8, we'll check and let you know. 10.8, there we go.
Well, 11.6 was their score last year. They've started on a much higher dressage score than they did last year, 30.8 they were on here last year. So they finished good enough to finish 16th last year on a finishing score of 42.4, coming in here on 39.3. So unlikely to replicate that.
Well, Janelle Price, Ferry Dynamo. The clock is ticking up. The time penalties clicking up as well. Still confident with your 10.8, Sam?
No, Les, she's actually slowed down another gear, particularly through that last combination. She really took the foot off the gas.
Janelle does love to prove you wrong.
She does. She sort of makes a living out of it, really.
But still a very, very good round from Janelle Price, Ferry Dynamo. 31 seconds over the time, but still a confident clear across the country. Thibaut Villette, King de Brio, coming to the Chicks Retreat ice pot. 13 seconds down on the clock as he comes into the water.
I have a question for you, Sam. Jumping, clear jumping rates. We saw Carlos Parra there. We haven't seen a huge amount of problems, Nicole, across the course in terms of jumping clears. The all-time high actually came in 2013, which was just sub 85%. We're actually in around that at the moment. Is it as jumpable as it looks, or do you expect as the riders begin to go for time that those 20s could come in?
Ian's built a very nice course that the horses will read it well, which is really nice. There's nothing in there when you walk the course that you think, oh, are they going to get that and understand it? But what he's done is he's put in quite a few questions towards the end which come after these hills. So from now, this point on, Thibaut's about to jump 3 big combinations in the space of 4 fences. And that's where it gets difficult if they've had their foot on the gas. So we could see errors jumping in indeed later in the course, but it is, to answer the question, it is a nice course to jump around. It's not at the top end of CIC 3-star difficulty, but Ian's recognised that the time is what's going to make this difficult.
Stella Bonatti there on our latest starters, just standing off the brush in the water.
Came out on the 4, so that distance, when you walk that distance, it is a genuine 3. There's 3 strides there. It's quite long, it's quite open. But because it's their first water, it comes quite early in the course. There's a few trees and things around. Horses don't tend to really land in there with a big stride. They tend to pop in, which is, to be honest, when I walk up to that fence the first time, I think that you want to get the horse back and balance it, which is why I did 4 strides on all the horses. But she sort of didn't really decide one or the other. She could have kicked on and really got there for the 3.
And the horse decided for her, I think, in the end.
Well, he took off on the 3rd and then came out on 4.
Well, next to go, it is into the top 20. The top 20 running in reverse order of merit. Mark Todd next away from the start as Thibaut Villette, King de Brio, heading towards home. Just the 3 jumping efforts remaining for them at the SAP with technology brushes. The clock is already red, so those time penalties are clocking up pretty quickly. But he's heading on towards the final fence, and after those 3 down in the show jumping, wouldn't have been pressing too hard on the accelerator in the cross country. The Equitrek Endeavour for Stella Bonatti. Zeron easily clear through there, and it's a deceivingly steep slope down, isn't it, Sam?
Yeah, you can't really tell that just looking at it on the screen. It's very steep down into that. That is a proper old-fashioned coffin, proper upright rail. So riders are wasting 3 seconds probably on the way into that fence. This horse has a long stride. He found those 3 strides quite tight as well.
One thing I would note is we've seen a number of combinations at the ice pond, sort of 12, 13, 14 seconds down on the clock, and actually by the time they're heading towards the end of their round, that's more than doubled.
Yeah.
So that it isn't possible to catch up time at the end of the round quite so much as perhaps at the early part.
You'll want a very fit horse. Those hills, exactly. Well, we've just come up. We're probably at the highest point on the course now. And these guys have climbed a lot of altitude, and they've got to come back down it as well. It's very slow going downhill. This is not a fast part of the course. And you find the horses generally don't get that tired in a CIC 3-star, but they can do around here.
Well, it is tough. Tough ground, part of the attraction of Chatsworth, what makes it so special. As Sir Mark Todd McLaren through the combination, the Northern Know-How 7A and B. And as we go into the top 20, I think we'll start to see some of these riders chasing the huge £50,000 prize pot for the leg here. And of course, valuable series points as well. Monarch Sail very generously once again providing a 2-night stay at the world-renowned Monarch Spa Hotel over in Ireland for the owner of each of the winning horses in the leg. And all of the owners took up their prize last year, and I'm sure a few of them took a trip to the Monarch Sale in November as well to pick out some of the future superstars.
Well, Mark Todd has just gone behind our stand here, and he's getting a lot of cheers from the crowd. But he's very excited about this horse, McLaren. He was very good at Buccalo, and I don't think, looking at him today, that this is the day he's going to press all the buttons on him cross-country. But you are looking at a potential top class horse here, a potential 4-star winner maybe one day, and certainly a horse that's going to feature again in Event Rider Masters Series.
I mean,
am I calling it too early?
I mean, way too early. Like, this is why we work well as a business. But I mean, that is, you're basing that on just on what you've heard and hype around the horse. I mean, we had 20 penalties last time at Belton. We had 20 penalties at Harastapan. I mean, they're all in the last 6 runs. Like, you're not going to win a 4-star yet.
Well, that is the first problem we've seen at the penultimate. The SAP brush with technology. Stella Bonatti and Zara on a late 20 penalties for them. And she'll come round to represent.
I don't think that'll be the last 20 we see at that. If there's going to be one of the big names have a shock 20, it's going to be at that corner complex, because they'll be tired, and it is quite a turning exercise. There we go. 1, 2, 3. He's a really small horse, this, but he's got a big stride.
Got plenty of scope as well.
Yeah, he does. He's a big jumper. Pictures of him clearing fences by miles, which is probably less efficient from a time-wise, but he is one I'm looking forward to, D, anyway.
No, I agree, and look, Mark is looking forward to it, and you've got to build in those, but in terms of numbers, you're right in terms of your time as well.
Well, that was Stella Bonatti's 20 penalties, Sam, and that was a real shame for her in what had otherwise been a really good round.
Yeah, I don't think I'd criticise her too much. I mean, you have to have that outside shoulder. That the cross-country riding is very much about controlling the shoulders now, and a lot of these combinations are on turns. And if you're letting that horse drift out through the shoulder, you're in trouble, and that's what happened to her.
Mark Todd and McLaren heading into the latter part of their round at 36, the score that they brought forward as Francis Whittington, Hasty Imp for owner Margaret Smith, coming to the Northern Know-How at 7A and B.
Francis is more than capable to put in a really quick cross-country round. It just depends with his 2 down. He did a lovely dressage test, 27.9, and a lot of the decision as to whether they're going to go for it comes down to the sort of the psychology. I mean, even if he'd done a 31 dressage and had 1 down, he'd be on the same score, but he might not feel like he's going to have been frustrated with his 2 down in the show jumping. And it could just be that what forces him to change his mind and say, I won't go for it today.
Well, just pitching Mark Todd up his neck a little bit at the Dodson and Horrell Elite Sport Muesli launch at 18. McLaren, but clears the Voltaire design sit tight nicely and heads back towards the last major question out on course. We'll watch them through here, because this is a horse, Sam, I would have thought would be ideally suited to this kind of fence, in so much as he's quick and nippy, isn't he?
He's quick and nippy, but it's much more about control, and they are going high side on that. You could jump that a little bit nearer to the camera. Now he's got him straight there, that's good, and he's really swinging out to get this turn. Yeah, so he played that safe. That was more of a schooling way through it. You're going to see people who don't sort of keep out on that turn. They're going to try and keep in to save 2 seconds and see what they can do.
Well, the clock is red. The time penalty's ticking up for Mark Todd and McLaren. He's going to drop below Tim Price, who is really climbing the leaderboard with the fastest round that we've seen so far. Some 13 seconds over the time is the fastest round of the day. But 47.2 for Mark Todd. And for McLaren, as we understand that after that refusal at the 21st, we saw Stella Benassi have one problem. She actually had 2 and then decided to come round and represent for that final attempt. As Frances Whittington at the Chicks Retreat Ice Pond at 13 A and B. 35.9 their score coming forward, so we're well inside the top 20 now. The reverse order cross country got in close there. I was just going to say, for people watching this who want to learn a bit about cross country, look at that man's position. His lower leg is just, it's a little bit in front of the rest of his body, and he's very good with his back and his shoulders stay upright, and they stay a little bit behind the horse. And then when he chipped in there and the stride that he wanted didn't come up at all, Francis hardly moved. His balance was perfect. So he's very good. He's exaggerating his upper body coming back there because he was going downhill. But he's a very good rider to watch in terms of people saying, well, what is a good cross-country position? Where should my leg be? Where should my shoulders be? Well, watch Francis Whittington. Well, Sammy Croyd, Arco BB underway. Sam owns this horse himself. Rode him in a couple of Event Rider Masters legs last year. Still looking for his second top finish, was top 7 in 2016 at Blenheim in the series finale. That was with Woden.
So there's an example of a horse doing it very easily on one stride less, 3 and 4. And you would hardly, unless you were counting, you'd hardly notice the difference between Janelle Price going through there and Sam going through there, even though Janelle was doing it on an extra stride. But they were both very smooth, very accurate, and had their horses in a good balance through there. But Sam's going to have gone through there at least 2 seconds quicker.
Well, every second counts out on Ian Stark's cross-country track, as down at the start, Ludwig Svenestål Balla missed. Now, this a combination who really rose up the leaderboard at Gatcombe last year to finish second on the podium behind Gemma Tattersall, courtesy of a fast round cross-country. An unlucky pole in the show jumping gives them a two-phase score of 34.8. We had Fred Bergendorf, the head coach for the Swedish eventing team, in the studio with us for all the show jumping. He wasn't sure if Ludwig was really going to chase the time, but
no, he's got on 2 strides too many down to the first fence. You know, if you want to beat the clock around these types of courses, it's actually not about going fast. It's about not going slowly, not wasting time. You've got to keep your horse in a balance. And you can't push them, because then they'll get tired, and you won't be able to jump fences like that if you have been pushing them. So it's about rhythm and balance.
And that was a really economical line through that final combination for Hasty Imp and Frances Whittington. We'll get a time on them at the finish in a few moments, as Sammy Croyd neatly through the Equitrek Endeavour at 12 A, B and C. Arco BB heads on up the hill to the Chicks Retreat to Ice Pond.
I think this is one of the real promising, exciting riders coming through for GBR at the moment. He's had a couple of good spins around here already today, I think. Sam, he's a busy man for a young man. He's got a lot of horses, and he's already got a lot of championship experience at the underage levels under his belt.
He's medalled at Pony Junior and Young Rider level, and will no doubt be knocking on the door of a senior team appearance in the next couple of years as well.
He's a medaller, is he?
He is.
He likes the medal.
There you go. Sammy Croyd, Arco BB, up the hill, 35.9 their score. Some 26 seconds in hand to go ahead of our current clubhouse leader, Xavier Fair and Tim Price. Francis Whittington, a score just in for Francis, slowed down considerably at the end of his round, 14.4 time penalties on 50.3, so he goes into 5th at the moment.
Well, for me, Nicole, and Dear might chip in here, but okay, Ludwig, where are we going? Have we got a broken rein? It looks like we're definitely lacking equipment.
Now, talk us through that in a second, because he came in and it literally came away in his hand.
I'm not sure if he had the rein going in because he was so far right and he doesn't have a left rein, so yeah.
Ah.
Yeah.
That must be a pretty scary position to be in as a rider, coming to a fence like that without a rein.
It is. He's trying to, obviously if Ludwig gets off and his feet hit the ground, he's going to be down as a fall. He's trying to see can he do something, but he's now got outside assistance, so I think we're going to see a retirement there.
Well, that is a real shame. Ludwig Svenestall being taken out of his hands quite literally with a broken rein on Ballum Miss down at Queen Mary's Bower. Sammy Croyd heading towards home with Arco BB, and the clock is going to turn red shortly because he's only got some 6 seconds to get home. That's not going to happen. He's going to be around 40 seconds down by the time he crosses the finish line. But as he comes to the St James's Place flyer.
So he saw a big shot there, which can pull you out on the turn. He's got in quite deep there because he's had to control the horse back, and now he's working hard to control the horse on the turn, and he was still losing the shoulder. So just for people watching that, what really made the second 2 corners quite difficult was the fact that he got a flyer over the first one, a flyer over the ditch.
Well, I'm looking at counting down to another record. 52.3 is his best ever finish at Chatsworth for the rider. That came on Woden. Looks like we're going to be reasonably close to that. We're gone. No records. No records.
Equal
record.
to his record. That's good. That's good.
52.3. Sammy Croyd 41 seconds over with Arco BB.
And I think because I wrote that stat book, Dee, I can tell you that that is adjusted. So for people thinking that does that account for the new and old dressage scores, it does.
Equa Ratings really have crunched the numbers and made life easier for us, because we're all frantically dividing everything by 1.5, but actually everything you guys talk about takes into account the new removal of the dressage multiplier.
It does, but we still enjoy when people get quite frantic and hysterical that maybe we haven't.
Also, Sam, I've got news for you coming through, because I know you've been in the game a long time, but just to keep you updated on the rules, a rider is allowed to step on the ground to fix a situation like that without being eliminated, and in that type of situation they could actually have outside assistance as well.
Interesting. Well, thankfully I've not been in that situation, but good to know, particularly for a team competition. That happens to you in a team competition, you've got to keep your team in the game. So valuable information from Dermot Byrne of Equa Ratings.
Well, not actually from me, I'm just passing it on.
Okay.
But thank you for people who send in these to me.
Sam will be going home reading the FEI rulebook back to back. Next to get away from the start, it is, looks like Astier Nicolas, Alert Amelib Or, this 7-year-old reigning world champion.
So I thought a sub-35 finish would bring home some nice prize money this week. So are we getting to, yeah, I mean, in terms of winning it, I think sub-30, but if we have people now starting to go out on a starting score below 35 penalties and they're on fast horses, it is worth their while going around here with trying to do as well as they can.
Sammy Birch and Hunter Valley the second, 34.2 their starting score. This combination that went very well for Australia at Pau last year in the 4-star, finished 4th there, and one that will no doubt be one in the forefront of the Australian selectors' minds going forward to the World Equestrian Games in Tryon a little bit later on this year.
Yeah, these two really put it together last season. So they had a good Brahman. That's a big CCI 3-star, long format 3-star in England. They're going to do the 4 strides. So she's kept him well anchored there. And she's not frantically pushing him away. So again, this is not somebody who's gone for everything on cross country. It will be important for them to just solidify what they did last year. A good CCI 3-star, a good 4-star down in Pau. Really, really good result down there. So just to have Hunter Valley back out, show the selectors that he's fit and well and he's on his game and he's looking good, he's looking happy there.
Well, actually to go ahead of our current clubhouse leader Xavier Fair, Tim Price. Sammy can be 30 seconds over the time to still take over at the top of the leaderboard. But we're heading into the top 15 now, the reverse order cross country here at leg 1 of the Event Rider Masters. If you're just joining us, then in the studio with us, Sam Watson, who's already been round this track with a good clear round in the cross country. One half of Echo Ratings joins the other half of Echo Ratings. Dern Byrne also with us. So double the stats, I hope, this afternoon. 33.5 Alert Amelibor's dressage and show jumping score combined.
I'll leave you to try and pronunciate that one. I will tell you that how he's ridden down to the first and second fence, that he's going to go around for about 12.8 time falls, about 32 seconds over the time.
You're getting bold with these predictions, Sam.
Well, I was a little bit over on Janelle, but I'll blame her for being too conservative at that last combination.
Well, Sammy Birch, Hunter Valley, just under 2.5 minutes left on the clock as she comes to the Chick Retreats ice pond at 13 A and B, and in fact 18 seconds down as she comes there.
Horse making a really nice shape over those 2 tables in the water, and really efficient through that. That's as good as you're going to get through that combination. Nice curving 5 strides coming out to the skinny. He does look like he's enjoying his job today, which is important. I think this is, as I say, a horse with a really good 4-star result already under his belt, and just got to come out and solidifying that now and show that that wasn't a one-off, and that they can produce that again and again. And he looks to be enjoying Chatsworth today.
He is pricked as Hunter Valley comes down to 16 A and B, the Event Rider Masters stag head, as Astier Nicolas, Alert Alamebor, the reigning 7-year-old world champion, still inexperienced though. This is the first run at this level for this horse.
So actually only their 5th international of all time.
He took a real flyer there, Sam.
He took a flyer there, having been really close to the table beforehand for the combination. But again, Asti just adapted. Okay, the stride he wanted wasn't there. 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
And Astier is really excited about this horse for the future. He's got a couple of really nice young stars coming forward, but this one very much in the forefront of his mind for Tokyo.
And he gave a little rub going in over the A element, and I can tell you now, a lot of the sort of UK-based riders would instantly probably think, right, we're going to be on 4 strides now, we better sit up. The French riders, they're always on these open distances. They build them that way. Pierre Michelet builds them that way, and it was easy through there on 3 and 4. They'd never think twice. They'd think we had 2 heads if we started talking about 4 and 5 strides. I think we're all mad.
Well, clear of the Voltaire design, sit tight at 19. Sammy Birch, Hunter Valley heading towards home now. They've just got one major question left. The St James's Place flyer to the SAP Brush with Technology. The clock is green, but it's about to turn red, so the time penalties are going to prove expensive for her. She can be 30 seconds over to go ahead of Tim Price, but I think she's going to need a bit more than that to get home.
Yeah, really accurate through there, and he was really obedient and listening to her. So even though it's late on the course, he came back both times. Nice on the turn, looked to be very obedient, wasn't trying to fall left, wasn't trying to fall right, so they've had a good round.
Astier Nicolas, 4 seconds down on the clock as he comes to the Chick Retreats ice pond. But we've certainly seen the time slip away in the latter part of the course, and this would be a real challenge for this horse. Only an 8-year-old. It's a unique location, Chatsworth. Perhaps quite a lot for the horse of this age and inexperience to take in as well.
I don't think there's another track in the. I think Chatsworth is probably the hilliest. Maybe Blair would count as well. But I think these are 2 of the most extreme tracks in terms of terrain, which is brilliant. That's what you want to see on cross country: is horses being tested to, you know, different attributes being tested, and so this is going to be education for the horse.
Well, Sammy Birch has completed Hunter Valley 14.8 time, a total score of 49 into 5th at the moment. Astier Nicolas, Alert Amalib, or nicely clear of the Event Rider Masters Stag's Head. Now, Astier on his way home has 31 seconds in hand to go ahead of our current leaders Xavier Fair and Tim Price. But Pippa Funnell, Sandman 7, our latest starters, they were second after dressage. Heartbreak for them in the show jumping with 2 poles down, and that proved very expensive, dropping them down to 13th place, 11 places on the leaderboard. And a clear round in the show jumping was certainly worthwhile on that leaderboard, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's very influential now. It is tight, but so it should be. There were still a lot of clear rounds in there, a lot of 4-fault rounds in there. It juggled the leaderboard around a little bit, and 2 down is expensive now. And yeah,
in terms of influence, only one person in all of Event Rider Masters history has ever won and had a pole. You were actually at that one. That was Gackham Gemma Tattersall. But other than that, you cannot knock a pole if you want to go on to win.
Well, one thing I will say is that we're about to see, heading towards home, Astier Nicolas alert Alamebor, and he's going to be very close to getting that time to go ahead of Tim Price, Xavier Fair, who went out in 35th position coming into the cross-country. Tim Price is going to be no worse than 16th. Astier just perhaps lost a stirrup.
Well, that's exactly what I meant about taking a little bit more of a chance on that combination. He was, as he was jumping the first one, he was locking onto the second. As he was jumping the second, he was locking onto the third. There was no sort of swinging out or trying to make that turn wider or give himself more time. He jumped that really quite quickly and efficiently.
Well, Astier Nicolas is our new leader. Alert Amalib-Or. A few time penalties, 9.2 in total, but he goes to the top of the leaderboard, and that is certainly a horse that you can see why Astier is so excited about him. Pippa Funnell, Sandman 7 through the Chick Retreats. Water.
Yeah, she's not going slowly, Pippa. She wants to give Sandman a bit of a pipe opener today. From the looks of it, I don't think she's not throwing caution to the wind, and nor should anybody. But she's going to probably challenge the likes of Tim Price, I would say, if she can.
Well, looking at recent time penalties, 16.4 at Houghton, different challenge there. 3.6 at Barbary, you know, it comes to my attention, but it's a CIC 2-star. Very difficult to get a read from that. Burnham Market is one of their fastest ones, but it's a little while ago now. For me, I think the big one, Sam, is we got to get that jumping clear here. We got to get another completion for Sandman, and I think that would be Pippa's key goal. I think time comes second very much today. One
thing I would say is she can actually afford 9.2 time penalties to go ahead of Astier, which is the exact number of time penalties that Astier had out on course.
I think she'll be slower. I think she'll be double figures. Astier was one to watch. He was so soft with his hands. He rode very like Chris Burton rides around these 3-stars. He hardly touched the reins, and he never looked like he was pushing the horse. So he was just doing exactly what I said. He wasn't wasting too much time.
Well, Michelle Kenny, one of 3 Irish combinations in the field with Carlton, and she was delighted with her dressage. A huge personal best for her at any level in the sport. 30.4 her dressage. 3 time penalties in the show jumping were fairly expensive, but 33.4 their 2-phase score coming forward. The same score as Pippa Funnell in that phase.
So Michelle was very good in that water, particularly coming out. She moved up early, saw her jumping over the triple brush in the water. She landed straight away, gave the horse a little bit of a squeeze, and got up really nicely and easily on that 4-stride distance. Pippa now on Sandman, getting towards the end of the course. Yes, she is going to come in at around.
Well, she's got 9.2 in hand to go ahead of Astier.
I don't think she'll do it, Nicole.
No, she's going to be very close. So you know I don't do that, Sam. Pippa Funnell at the St James's Place Flyer takes that very nicely. She's already adding the time penalties now, and they add up very quickly. And
this is important. Come on, Pippa. Yeah, she just worked there. That's what I mean about controlling that shoulder. It just got a little bit raggedy towards the end.
Doesn't have to look pretty, Sam. No style marks in cross country.
No, 100%.
But Pippa Funnell goes on to the final fence. She's not going to do quite enough to go ahead of Astier Nicolas and Alert Amalib-Or, but a good round from Sandman 7, and it'll finish up with 12.4 time penalties, 45.8 for Pippa, And that's going to be good enough to put her just into second ahead of Xavier Fair and Tim Price.
It's good to see Sandman back. He's a horse who had a really good result at the Europeans in Blair back in 2015. It's now 2018, so that's quite a long time ago. And good to see him back in action, looking happy.
Well, this horse, I was told this morning, if Michelle is in touch with the leaders, which she certainly is, she would push for the time cross country. So let's take a look at her clock in just a second, because she's up at the Chick Retreats Ice Pond.
Very nice and smooth through there. That's just where a horse with such a big stride, which Carlton does have, finds that distance between those two tables in the water just a little bit tight, and that can waste a little bit of time, just having to sort of sit quite still with your leg on, keep your shoulders in the right position, keep your head up.
So the leader at the moment, Alert, Amalib or Astier Nicolas, 42.7 their score as our latest starter for Zimbabwe. The Shamwari Syndicate's Biarritz and Camilla Kruger in the plate. This is a combination that would 35th at the Rio Olympic Games. And a horse that Camilla has huge hopes for the future. Very easily clear of the Northern Know-How combination at 7.
It's a bit of a drop after that table, actually. When you see a flyer at it, you're in the air for quite a long time. Good feeling.
Well, Camilla coming to the Dodson and Horrell Queen Mary's Bower. 1 or 2 out so far this afternoon, but easily through.
It's a really good example for people who can get a little bit too hung up on strides cross country. We can sit here and analyze it and see how many they've done. So she actually did 4 and 4, but it doesn't matter if you have a horse in the right balance, in the right position, on the right line, it's fine.
Well, that man has been at the top of that podium here before. Astier Nicolas, he is the man to knock off the top spot. He won here 2 years ago with Piaf de Benneville. He currently leads the way with Alert Amalib or the very talented 8-year-old, the reigning 7-year-old world champion. But this lady could take over at the top of the leaderboard. It is Michelle Kenyon-Carlton heading towards the end of her round. I wonder what her time will be. She can have 9.2 time penalties. That's 23 seconds she can be over the optimum time to go to the top of that leaderboard. Sam, can she do it?
Well, we're seeing we haven't got time on screen, but no, I was going to say it's probably going to be a bit too tight. Again, one that looks like it could be double figures.
Well, just about to clear the last Michelle Kenyon-Carlton. Not going to do enough to go into the lead, but one man, he's still at the top of the podium. How long can he stay there? Astier is with Hannah.
Yeah, Astier Nicolas, fantastic round. You're in the top spot. How was it?
It was a bit green to start with, but then he went on to be very good, and he answered to all the questions. It's a very good, promising young horse.
We always knew he was going to be fast. He was the 7-year-old world champion last year. It's amazing to have him at this level, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great. I'm thrilled to have him here. I didn't expect to come here initially in my plans for the season, but he's grown so well that we took him here, and I think we did the right choice because he's had a great competition.
Who's the one to watch? Who do you think is going to end up in this top spot if it's not you, Astier?
It's going to be, I think, I'd say I'll go a bit patriotic and say either Max, Gwen, or I think Piggy could stay there as well, obviously.
Okay, we'll see. Well done, Astier.
Hedging his bets there, I think, as to who could take over at the top spot. But one lady who can is out on course. That's Camilla Kruger. We'll get a time for her shortly. Blythe Tate also away now, the former double world champion. Rides Dasset Courage, a solitary time penalty. Just to add to their dressage score, gives them a total of 32.4. We're approaching the top 10 now. So the reverse order cross country is really where now starts to come into play, because the pressure will tell, the riders will be going quickly, and of course mistakes can creep in.
So there we go. I think Blythe thought he might get there on the first distance, and he realized halfway between the obstacles that he was going to have to sit up. He actually just lost the right shoulder as well at a little deviation. Looking at his body language, Blythe is going for a competitive round. I think he wants to kick Astier off the top of the podium. Blythe is ever competitive. All these Kiwi riders are.
Well, just a quick reminder, please, if you have got dogs with you
So Blythe Tate opens up on the accelerator up the hill as Camilla Kruger heading towards home with Biarritz. And actually, she's down on the clock quite significantly. She's at the Dodson and Hurrell Elite Sport Muesli launch. Would need about 1 minute and 10 to get home from there. She's a minute left on the clock. She's a minute down on the clock.
Yeah.
And that's going to take her out of contention to knock Astier off the top spot.
He's a nice jumper, you know, but he does everything. He jumps his fences sort of quite pretty. I think a horse that you want to be really quick around a cross-country course, they've got to be quick through the air. They've got to be efficient. They've got to have really good footwork and be able to get those front legs and shoulders up nice and quickly. And he just spends he's a little too show jumpery through his cross-country fences.
Unfortunately, they've already had too many time penalties to challenge Astier's lead. So unfortunately for Camilla, it's been a brilliant round, but Astier can sit comfortably for a few more moments. Biarritz, few time penalties to add.
I think she'd be very happy though. A 30.6 dressage is a smart test, and to show jump clear just with those 2 time penalties, and to jump clear around the cross-country course too. Yes, she's picked up time penalties, but I think she's going to be very happy with them.
She has a lot of big plans for this horse in the future, so remember the name because I'm sure we'll see them back out and about shortly. Blythe Tate, Dasset Courage at the Equitrek Endeavour at 12 A, B and C. Blythe was talking to Hannah yesterday and was certainly asking if he would be brave across the country. I think he's been pretty brave so far, Sam.
Yeah, he's not hanging about. He's nice and efficient. He's good through there as well. Blythe is a master on the cross-country. It's fun to watch him.
Well, 32.4 is his score. 32.1 is this lady's score. We're into the top 10 now. Ros Cantor-Zenshira had a brilliant result here 12 months ago and looking for more of the same in 2018. Can she get some big series points on the board early? She thinks the absolute world of this horse. He really is a family pet, has been with her for a number of years, and she knows him inside out.
So now we're going to see this whole body language change. You know, you can see that, but Ros, the same as Blythe, you know, she's just a little bit more in a jockey position between the fences. She's encouraging the horse to keep traveling at the fences. She's trying to pick up those first distances where they're available. She wants to get through those combinations as quickly and efficiently as possible.
Well, Blythe Tate is heading towards home. 25 seconds in hand to go ahead of Astier Nicolas and Alert Amalib Or. With this horse, he's still got 20-something seconds left on the clock. I'm not sure he's going to quite have enough.
This is where this fence is now going to be very important. There's about 3 seconds that you can save here. You don't want a flyer, so he's done the work right there. He's probably a little bit too sticky there. But it's set him up very nicely for this corner. And then you've got to be brave about keeping going. It's good. And a lot of them are going to do that. Like, the more you try and keep jumping that on a flowing line, the more with gravity, it's on a really steep hill to the right, and they will take that flag out.
Well, Blythe Tate can be 25 seconds over the time to go ahead of Astier Nicolas. He's not going to do it, I don't think. He's just steadying up for the last fence. So he clears it, and he's going to be over the time, but still a very good result for him. 44.0. He'll knock Pippa Funnel down into a 3rd place on the podium, so we'll see him on the podium shortly as Ros Cantor-Zenshira through the Chick Retreats Ice Pond up at 13 A and B.
So Ros is another very efficient cross-country rider. She's, all of the messages she's giving to the horse are very sort of positive, and they're soft and they're sympathetic. So she's not wasting the horse's energy, and she's not being too defensive. She's able to balance the horse before a fence, just using her upper body and using a much more subtle aid. So right now, this is where you're having to see her to work the hardest, because she's going down a very steep slope. And even though you can see Ros having to put all of her sort of 6 stone that she weighs into trying to balance the horse and keep him a little bit on his bum.
Well,
she was working hard, but she did nicely.
Ros Cantor, a minute and a half to get home. Can she do it? She's 26 seconds in hand. Pippa's on the second spot. She's going to enjoy it for a few moments longer.
Yes, she certainly is, Nicole. We love Sandman 7, Pippa. You had a super dressage round, a disappointing show jumping round. How was the cross country?
Yeah, no, really pleased with the cross country. He was spot on all the way. Just one awkward moment just near the end over the big parallel, but otherwise delighted with him.
Because you thought you were going to take it quite easily around the cross country course, but actually you got a pretty good time.
Well, I mean, around this sort of track, you know, if you go too easy, you start getting backwards, and I love being backwards and adding strides. So I kept up the gear, and he was great, and it's really thrilling to have him back at this level because it's been a long time since he has been. He obviously had a very serious injury 2 years ago, and it's been taking us our time to get back up.
Well, it's great to have both of you here riding on him as well. Very best, well done.
Thank you.
Ros Cantor is 24 seconds down on the clock. She's 26 seconds in hand to go ahead of Astier Nicolas and Alert Amalebor. Can she do it, Sam?
Oh, she was really nice on that turn. She was super through there. She's going to set a really good score here.
Well, the penalties will be clicking up now. 0.4, remember, for every second over the time. Astier Nicolas on 42.7. Ros Cantor coming to the final fence. She clears it very well, and she is going to go to the top of the podium. She's our new leader, second fastest round of the day so far. 14 seconds over Ros Cantor and Zen Shearer.
It's hugely deserved. That's the type of round you should be watching, that when you want to be competitive in a Masters, that's how you do it. You do it by being smooth, accurate, looking after your horse in those combinations. And she just has obviously been putting in her work at home, because Ros is on fire at the moment, all three phases.
Well, Ros Cantor 37.7, that is the score to beat. So Vittoria Panizon, the next to lay down her challenge, in ninth, coming forward to this final phase. Blythe Tate just taking great pleasure in knocking Pippa Funnell down onto third spot. She'll enjoy that for a few moments longer. So will Blythe, and so will Astier. Hannah, my word, it's all changed down there.
Down here really is. Blythe, how was it?
Well, mostly good, but I got a little out of control at the end, so I had one bad life and had to slow down just a little bit because I was getting a bit reckless. But otherwise, very well.
Ian Stark has put some pretty big questions in right at the end of the course. Is that causing some problems?
I think it's playing its influence, because you can't just believe you're home halfway round. You've got to keep thinking all the way, and there's enough to jump at the end, so you've got to keep some in store for that.
And how's the ground been?
It's pretty tacky. The horses are coping well with it, but it's certainly not hard and fast.
Okay, well, we'll see how long you last there, Blythe. Well done.
I'm imagining not long, but I'll enjoy it while I'm here.
William Foxpitt, Bay My Hero, underway at the Dodson and Horrell Queen Mary's Bower. 31.6 their starting score. Sam living dangerously.
William's going for it. Again, body language, how he's gone through the early combinations. He wants to be competitive. That's what makes this course more challenging, is when they're going for it. So I'm excited to see Williams round. This is Vittoria Panizon on her screen. She's coming to this second last combination. She's got a good gallop now, and she's going to arrive. And watching how this horse has been so far through the course, a couple of wobbles through the shoulder at that first water. I thought he just wobbled on his line a little bit, so I think this is going to be quite an important combination coming up for Vito.
And this is a good time as well. She's 23 seconds down on the clock. She's going to be close to pushing it, because she's only 14 seconds in hand to go ahead of Ros Cantor Zen Shearer.
So here we go. Are we paying attention? Yes, we are. Textbook. Really good.
Very nicely done. So Vittoria Panizon, checkers play the game. The clock is still green, and the horse finishing full of running. And it's now that the penalties start to clock up. 37.7 is Ros Cantor Zen Shearer. She can afford to be 14 seconds over. It's going to be exceptionally close. Can she do it? She's going to be very, very tight. She has 1 second. She goes into the lead, and that is a very, very good score. 37.3. Checkers play the game. Vittoria Panizon, Italy go to the top of the podium.
Well, as we move into that final section, the big one that we've been talking about all the way along is time. We're now up to 163 people since Tom Carlyle made the time here last year who've gone around this and not made the time. If you want to go back 20 years almost of Chatsworth, 1999, we're now up to 1,450 and only 5 have made the time. That's 0.3%. You won't need me to tell you that, Sam. But have we got someone coming in that final group who can make the time? Ones that could do it. Cloudamere, excellent record at the very top level of the sport. Can he bring that into it? Very tough Event Rider Masters. Horseware Stellar Rebound, a course specialist. They're going to be pushing the time. Mr. Bass, a finish on your dressage course specialist. They could do it.
Yeah, I think, Jeremy, you've nailed the 3 big names there in terms of horses with proven form. I think the one is Piggy French as well. She's a top-class rider.
Well, Ross Cantor taking over at the top of the podium for a few moments. Astier Nicolas, well, I think he's got a ferry to catch, so he's going to be dashing off pretty shortly as well. I don't know how long he'd be staying on the podium anyway, because these top few are coming quick and fast now. Wills Oakton, Cooley Romero out on course in 7th place. Well, Ross Cantor is at the top of the podium. She's only going to be there for a few minutes, but I'm sure she'll enjoy it, Hannah.
She looks like she's already enjoying it, Nicole. Roz, how was it?
Oh, it was super out there today. Zenshira is a real favourite of mine, and we know each other inside out, so it's just great fun to ride a horse like him.
Roz, you have had some superb results towards the end of last year, coming into this year. I really feel like you've come out guns blazing. Does it feel like it's all coming together?
Yes, definitely. It takes a long time to get up to this level, but the horses that I've got at this level now have been up here for a while, so I just hope I can keep finding some nice ones to come through and replace them one day.
And you love them all so much.
Yeah, I do. This one particularly, he's very special. He's a bit like a family pet. So, but I do. I love my horses, and I'm very proud of what they do for me.
And are we going to see you on some of the other ERM events throughout the year?
I hope so, yeah. I probably haven't got quite enough at this level to really target it, but it's such good fun, and this horse particularly loves stuff like this, so yeah, we'll definitely try and do some more.
Well, we love having you both here. Thanks, Roz.
Thank you.
Well, William Fox-Pitt, 33 seconds down on the clock. He's only got 14 seconds in hand to go ahead of our current leader, which is Vittoria Panizon. Checkers Play the Game on 37.3, so he's not going to quite do it.
I'd say Be My Hero just lacking a little bit of match fitness to do that. He looks like he's gotten a little bit tired towards the end of the course, but he's had a competitive run there. Great to see William really sort of putting the foot down in an ERM class, so that's been exciting.
Well, we'll come back to Williams' time in a moment, but away goes a very fast Frenchman. Living a bit dangerously at the third, but gets away with it. Maxime Livio, Cloudamere. Maxime has never been on an Event Rider Masters podium before, but he was nicknamed the Silent Assassin this weekend because he has a tendency, Derm, to finish on his dressage score, the FOD that Equa Ratings love to talk about.
Well, you're the one that nicknamed him the Silent Assassin. We just thought that potentially he wouldn't be the Frenchman that people were talking about. If I'm honest, I got that one wrong. I thought Thibaut Villette would be the one that would jump clear and would actually time penalties would knock him down, and that people would probably not focus on Maxime Livio enough. It hasn't quite played out that way, but he's still sitting just outside the top 5. I still think he's a major player. Cloudamere, we're going to see speed for the first time. We're going to see someone go and challenge that very tough cross-country time here at Chatsworth. I think Maxime is going to be the one.
Well, I tell you what, this man is not doing a bad job either, because Wills Oakton, Cooley Romero, 13 seconds down on the clock as he came to the Event Rider Masters Stag's Head. 31.6 in 7th coming into the cross-country, can afford to be 14 seconds over the time to go out in front of Vittoria Panizon. Checkers Play the Game. Can he do it, Sam?
No, this is a big moment for Wills. You know, he's had 2 really good phases in a very competitive Event Rider Masters kicking off the series here. Chatsworth always attracts a big competitive field, and he is right up there. So it's been a fantastic 2 phases. He's going well on the cross country, but he is having to ask his horse to keep coming, keep expending the energy.
Wills Oakton, Cooley Romero actually heading towards the end of their round. They've got 14 seconds in hand, remember, but really having to work hard at the latter part
I'm impressed. He saw a stride of at least 6 strides out there. That was lovely, and he just asked the horse to pick up. He's not going to make the time.
Can he be less than 14 seconds over? I think it's doubtful. So I think
it's 8. I think 8.8 maybe.
Vittoria Panizon actually is going to be sitting at the top of the leaderboard for a little bit longer.
No, be careful. Not too long at once. That was a big stride.
Vittoria Panizon, you're on the top spot. How was it?
It's great. I love riding Elvis. He really helps me out. The only trouble is the course is quite twisty, and so when you give him a pat after a fence, you then find you veered off wide on a turn. So I think there are a couple of places I probably could have shaved off a yard or two.
Any particular questions out there that were harder than others?
He made them all feel pretty great. Fence 5, I think we slightly left a leg on the way in, but he didn't lose his balance, so it didn't matter. And I think there was one corner combination, we took a stride out. I realised we were on 5.5, so I just growled and sat back and said, see what you want to do. And he said, OK, I'll go on the 5.
Well, enjoy your moment there. You certainly look good up there.
Thank you.
Well, Vittoria will be sitting on the top of that leaderboard for a little bit longer because news is in that Maxime, Livio, Calauda-Mer have had a refusal out on course. So that takes them out of contention. A big shock and a big moment here in leg 1 of the Event Rider Masters. So our attention now turns to for Ireland. Sarah Ennis, Horseware, Stellar Rebound. Rocket as he's known at home, and as Sarah said in her interview after the dressage, Rocket by name, Rocket by nature. 30.1, 5th after dressage. Sam, you know this combination well. Can they do it?
They've got course form, these two. They love Chatsworth. They've won it before in the past, and they're always quick around here. She's going to absolutely go for it, and it's going to be close. I think she's definitely she's going to go into the lead. That would be my prediction. But we've seen that what we said from the get-go was that when these riders go for it, there's going to be 1 or 2 high-profile exits. And for Calauda-Mer, a 4-star horse with form, Dame, that's a surprise.
Huge surprise. Calauda-Mer would have been a favourite here. We had him as a favourite for the entire leg. June 2013 is the last time he had a cross-country fault. Is it the pressure of being, reverse order? Is it the pressure, or is it just, top-level sport where it's very fine margins? It could be any number of those things. We've got to get back to Sarah Ennis soon because that's where all the focus is going to be.
Well, it's all changed at the top of the leaderboard. Plenty of action down there. Hannah, my word, this is exciting.
It certainly is, keeping me on my toes, Nicole. Well, we've got William here with Emily and Chloe. William, how was it? Your old buddy did well.
Oh, yeah, he was fantastic. I really enjoyed that. Went as fast as we could. Not fast enough, but he felt brilliant and a little bit tired at the end. But, it's a bit sticky out there and he tried hard. So, chuffed to bits. It's good getting me going a bit quicker these days. I've got to start to wake up.
Any idea how many people are going to make the time, if any?
Oh, I'd say the next lot, they'll all be quicker than me. And I think I got 10 time faults. So they're going to be close, aren't they?
And
someone will do it, I reckon.
And Emily, what do you think? How did Daddy do? Oh, you're too shy. Chloe?
What do you reckon? Good?
I'm Chloe, you're in.
Oh, sorry, girls. I had a 50% shot of getting that right, and I didn't, I'm afraid.
What do you reckon? Is Daddy too slow?
Was Daddy good?
Yeah.
Well done.
Well, out on course at Horseware, Stellar Rebound, Sarah Ennis just had a very hairy moment, Sam.
Yeah, that was living dangerously there. Rocket and Sarah, they don't always see eye to eye on every fence, but what they do, Rocket is a cat. He gets his legs out of the way, which is exactly what he did there. And Sarah knows when to sit in that kind of not quite abort position, but to certainly keep the horse in front of her.
Now, Sarah Ennis, get to see that again, Sam. I mean, my word, her position.
Yeah, and look at the horse's body. I mean, he does everything to get to get shoulders and then hind ends out of the way. And then look at this, it's like poetry, like nothing's ever happened.
Now, can I just say, Sam, they have 17 seconds in hand to go out in front of Checkers Play the Game, Vittoria Panizon. Is that enough for them?
Yeah, they can do that. I would have them down for somewhere between about 4.4 and 5.2 today. I think they're going to be one of our fastest that we've seen so far today. They could challenge the clock. This is a round. This could really put it up to Piggy French. As I say, someone with course form and someone going for it. They're a top combination. They've had one little moment on course. Keep your eyes on these two. We're getting into the thick of it.
Well, let's just give you a reminder of the top three, because Vittoria Panizon, Checkers Play the Game, 37.3. Ros Cantor Zen Shearer, 37.7. Wills Oakden, great round from him. Cooley Romero, 41.2. But this lady can change it all. She's in 5th place coming into this final phase. The reverse order cross country is got it all to play for here. Yet to see anyone achieve that optimum time, but she is on track to do so.
Well, you gave her 17 seconds. Interestingly, she's been here 3 times. 6.9 is the average. She has that 17 seconds.
17 seconds is 6.8. She can afford that today to go out in front. But of course, if she was inside the time, that is going to really put the pressure on those coming ahead of her.
She's going to be inside 6.8. Looking at how she's going. She's a quick person. We've seen the Irish not having a bad day today at Chatsworth, but Sarah is one.
Okay. We could all write our own reviews.
No, I was talking more about Cahill, but yeah, 3 double clears, I'll take that.
Foursquare Stella rebound to Sarah Ennis. Steadying up for one of the latter combinations on course.
And this will be a short 3. Too short. Yeah, so when you've been letting your horse really run on, the stride gets longer, so that walks a normal 3 strides, but I said it was going to be short just because Rocket's been so open throughout the course. So now it's this final combination. Come on, Sarah. She is fast. We have not seen anyone with this much time in hand so far, I don't think, Knickers.
17 seconds in hand. The one thing I would say is she has slipped on the clock a little bit, so we'll be able to get a clock check for her as she comes to the St James's Place flyer. And she's not a million miles off.
Nicely balanced. Don't let your upper body tip forward, Sarah. Sit up. Come on. Oh, now she's taken her eye off. Come on.
Now that is a combination that knows each other really well, isn't it? Because they are really pushing towards home now. The clock is still green. She's on a score of 30.1. She can afford to be 17 seconds over the time. It is going to be exceptionally close. She's going to get a flyer at the last, and this is going to go to the top of the leaderboard. Ireland are yet to win an Event Rider Masters leg. Can it be here at Chatsworth in 2018? That is by far the fastest round of the day. 2 penalties, Sam. Rocket
yeah, that could have been 0.8. She just he just dragged her into the middle corner, and she ended up having to really deviate. What a round, though. I said she was going to be inside that 6.8.
Well, Izzy Taylor, Call Me Maggie May. Now all eyes go to Izzy. She took the series finale with a record finishing score in Event Rider Masters leg at Blenheim last year. That was with Be Touchable. Call Me Maggie May wouldn't be as experienced perhaps as Be Touchable, but still all to play for. And Izzy, renowned as one of the fastest riders, fastest lady riders in particular in the world. 32.1 is the score to beat. She's 5 seconds in hand across the country. That is going to have to be one very quick round, Sam.
Oh, Sarah Ennis, you have done such a good job, because each of those top 4 ladies that we are looking at still to come, Izzy Taylor's, Piggy French's, Laura Collett, Gwendolyn Fair, they are all top draw riders. They can all do it on their day, but Sarah's set a target score that's going to require them to be absolutely 100% on the A game today.
That's the potential effect of a course specialist. 2014 she won it here, 2nd in 2015, 8th in 2016. Back to Izzy Taylor. Call Me Maggie May. Can Call Me Maggie May potentially get inside that time? Looking at recent time penalties, Nicole, I think they're up against it. 14.8 at Belton, 17.2 at Buccleuch, that's a CCI, and 8.8 at Mill Street. Yes, Izzy Taylor can be very fast. Yes, Call Me Maggie May, still an 11-year-old, so could be on an upward curve, but everything about it suggests, from the data point of view, it's going to have to be one of their fastest ever to challenge.
The one thing I would say, she was about on target with Sarah Ennis at the Chick Retreats Ice Pond. So they're about on target, but of course lots to go in the latter part of the round. Izzy Taylor, Call Me Maggie May, coming to the Event Rider Masters Stag's Head. A really steep drop away to that angled brush. It has jumped well, and Izzy straight between the flags and can kick on up the hill. Sam, she's 5 seconds in hand.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. I mean, Call Me Maggie May averages 8.6 time from 9 CIC 3 stars, but with Izzy Taylor in the plate, you can sometimes just kind of throw out the stats. She's got the ability to produce a lifetime best on a horse at any point, but it's going to be tight. Chatsworth is proving very, very challenging today on the clock.
Well, if you're just joining us, what a time to join us, because we're into the top three here on leg one of the 2018 Event Rider Masters Series. Izzy Taylor living a bit dangerously at the penultimate major combination on course with Call Me Maggie May.
So they've gone up and down a lot of hills at Chatsworth today. By the time they get to this point in the course, they just come up one more steep bit of hill just before that fence where we saw Call Me Maggie May getting a little bit stuck, and they just take a breath on you, and it looked like Maggie hadn't quite just sort of got her breath back. And
well, Mr. Bass, our dressage leader with Laura Collett underway. That really unfortunate pole in the show jumping sees them go into third, coming into the cross country as Izzy Taylor, Call Me Maggie May.
But 82% cross country jumping clear rate, Nicole. That's one of the top of all time.
Going to the top of the podium. She'll be hoping she can stay there for a little bit longer. Izzy Taylor's got 10 seconds left to get home. Will Sarah Ennis be there in a few moments? I think she will be, because Izzy Taylor's clock has turned red. And Izzy Taylor comes to the last, picking up the time penalties. She's going to get a score of 34.8, and that's a very good round for her. But she's safe at the top for a little bit longer. Sarah Ennis, what a round.
Fire, were you not?
Oh, it was a bit erratic, a bit dodgy. We had a couple of really scary moments. He just got too strong.
Talk to me about the SAP brush with technology. That combination was a little bit sketchy.
Which one was that?
The brushes.
I can't remember, but there's a lot of dodgy ones.
You made it through, though. You made it through, and 3 seconds faster than last year.
Yes, well, I had absolutely no control. I think we got 2 up in the water, which I said would be dangerous.
Now, we've never had an Irish winner of an ERM competition. We need you to stay at the top.
That would be really nice. Hopefully.
Still got a couple more to go, though.
Yeah, a couple of fast ones to go, so sure. If I stay on the podium at all, I'll be delighted.
Okay, thanks, Sarah. Well done.
Laura Collett, Mr. Bass, widely renowned as one of the best combinations at this level in the world. 29.3 their starting score. They've 6 seconds in hand to go ahead of Sarah Ennis. Horseware Stella Rebound. They're up on the clock at the Chick Retreats Ice Pond.
Yeah, so Sarah alluding to the fact that she actually managed to put 2 strides in there. We didn't see that. So we have to take her word on it, but that is where you start to ride that line of chance a little bit when you're really going for the clock. Laura having to bring Chuck, Mr. Bass, bring him back a little bit to get the 3 strides in that combination, and that can take you probably 2-3 seconds before the fence, an extra second in the fence, so they all keep adding up. We're looking at people. Izzy Taylor, she could have done with 4 seconds and she'd be sitting on top of the leaderboard. So every second counts now on cross country, and you watch how these top pros, how they do it, how they're efficient and where they make up the time. Laura flowing through there. We've seen some people being quite defensive going down the hill. She managed to keep Chuck in a lovely balance, pop that log going down, flowed down the hill. Absolute exhibition.
The one thing I would say, Sam, 8 seconds down on the clock.
Yeah, as I saw in the water, I think she was just having to anchor him a little bit too much. He's got a big stride and he is a strong horse, and he's a horse who runs quickly quite a lot, and they can be quite difficult because they sort of got one thing on their mind, which is forwards only. And you want to try and make sure that they're looking after the jumping side of it as well. So Laura's just having to anchor him a little bit, but she should have energy in the tank with this horse. He's an out-and-out galloper. I think she should have the petrol still well in the tank to the very last.
Well, Laura Collett, Mr. Bass, under a minute left on the clock now to get home. She's 6 seconds in hand to go ahead of the clubhouse leader, Sarah Ennis, and Horseware Stella Rebound. There has been real movement on the leaderboard. Maxime Livio, a huge shock for him. Unfortunately, a parting of company from Caloudamere, but he was up on his feet and absolutely none the worse for wear for that. But attention on Laura Collett.
This is going to be very close. I reckon she's only about 5 or 6 seconds slower than Sarah. All right, Nicole is shaking her head. She doesn't know. I think Mr. Bass could be deceiving. We'll see.
This is one to keep a very close eye on as well. In second place, coming forward to the cross country, it is Gwendolyn Furr, Romantic Love.
Now having to swing wide a little bit like Sarah, not ideal. Again, 2-3 seconds slower than she would have wanted to have been there. She's going to be up against it.
Laura Collett has 6 seconds in hand to go ahead of Horseware Stella Rebound. She's not going to be quick enough. The clock has turned red. She can still challenge for a place on the podium, but a pull to the last, very sensibly doing so. She clears it well. Mr. Bass finishes full of running. 35.7. She's going to go into third. She'll go onto the podium, but Sarah Ennis secures Ireland a place in the final 3. And Laura Collett, Mr. Bass, a strong performance in all 3 phases for our dressage leader, but not quite enough to take the top spot here. So attention turns to France.
So Gwendolyn did end up on the extra stride there, so she's gone on 4 and 5. Romantic Love, whenever Gwendolyn goes to set her up and just to balance her and say, hang on, wait a second, she sort of fights for her head a little bit.
Izzy Taylor, speed freak. That wasn't even quick by your standards, so you just said.
No, it wasn't fast enough. Call me Maggie May's not the fastest. She went as fast as she could. She was very good. She was very honest, and yeah, really pleased with her, but not fast enough.
Any reason particularly? Was that just how it was?
No, it's just her. She's not the fastest. She tries very hard, and the ground just caught up with her, but very happy.
Okay, well done, Izzy.
Thank you.
Well, Romantic Love, Gwendolyn Furr, 8 seconds in hand to go ahead of Horseware Stella Rebound, but then 9 seconds down on the clock, Sam, up at the Chick Retreats ice pond.
Yeah, again, just from early on in the course, it didn't strike me as a combination that looked like they were going to have what it took to post that really quick time around here, just because when Gwendolyn goes to have a little conversation with Romantic Love, he argues back a little bit.
We'll watch this space, but away goes our leader after the show, jumping Piggy French and Quarry Crest Echo, owned by Jane McGibbon. 27.3 this combination coming forward to this final phase. They were 4th after dressage, moved up courtesy of that clear round over Die Body's track. We'll come back to Piggy, but Gwendolyn Furr, Romantic Love. France won here 2 years ago. Can they win here in 2018? I'm not sure she's got
a long minute and a half to go. I think she's, as I say, there's 3 combinations coming up in the space of 4 fences now. There's quite a lot of galloping actually in between. She's not going to beat the clock. It's a question of damage limitation and can she sneak in front of Sarah. I don't think she will. I think it is all going to be about Piggy French, who set off in such a nice rhythm to the first. She took it out of a canter. She was on the right-hand side of that parallel at fence 2, and how you jump fence 1 and 2 is very important in a CIC 3-star when you are trying to beat the clock.
Piggy French picked up 5.6 time penalties at Chatsworth this time last year, but the round I would draw your attention to, Sam, 1 second over the time at Aachen.
But Gwendolyn Furr, Romantic Love, 40 seconds on the clock to come home, 28.7 her score. She can be 8 seconds over the time. We'll come back to her in a moment, but Piggy French, Quarry Crest Echo. Sam, you said they set off in a beautiful rhythm. That's continued.
Yeah, and just look at Piggy's hands. You know, there's no scrubbing. It's not messy. It's all just about rhythm with the horse. You know, it's in the balance, so she doesn't have to interfere. It's able to jump the fences out of the canter that she's got.
Well, she's got some 16 seconds to get home. She's not going to do it, Gwendolyn Furr, Romantic Love. 28.7 is her score. She's 8 seconds in hand to go ahead of Sarah Ennis. Horseware, stellar rebound. And the time penalties are clocking up. She goes a little bit further down the podium. She could still sneak onto the podium, perhaps, although I think that is slipping away. Those 0.4s multiply very quickly. Gwendolyn Furr, a very good clear round with Romantic Love, but 8.8 time, 37.9. And in fact, they'll go into 7th at the moment. But Sarah Ennis, she stays on the top spot, preparing to take her spot. Laura Collett, will she be able to stay there with Mr. Bass? She secures herself into 3rd at the moment. She'll be 4th at worst. So the win will either go to Ireland or the win will go to Great Britain here. Leg 1 of the Event Rider Masters series. The Super Grooms very quickly on hand to look after Romantic Love.
So here we go, Piggy French, Quarry Crest Echo at the coffin, really nicely through there, really quickly and efficiently away. Again, just a little wake-up call there, just to keep the attention. We're going into the water. We've got these 2 big tables, 3 strides apart. It's quite a tight 3 strides.
And 11 seconds up on the clock. That is the fastest we have seen so far.
Well, like Roz Cantor, like Izzy Taylor, she is sitting there motionless with a really soft pair of hands, and she's letting the horse get on with it, and she has the horse so well schooled and so well trained that it is just looking like she's riding at home in her arena. There's nothing crazy, nothing scary. It's just very, very clinical from one of the best riders you will see on the circuit, Piggy French.
So let's just take a look for a moment at the top 3. Horseware Stellar Rebound 32.1, Call Me Maggie May 34.8, Mr. Bass 35.7. Piggy French, Quarry Crest Echo 27.3. They've 11 seconds in hand, I should say, to go ahead of Horseware Stellar Rebound.
Yeah, it's just her one moment that she's had there on the course coming down the hill where they had a slight disagreement on which stride they were going to go on, and Piggy just having to go to the handbrake a little bit later than she would have wanted. But what a star-studded, what a female top 7 places you've got there.
Absolutely, we had an all-female podium back in Wiesbaden in leg 2 2017, but our first female winner, Nicole, if I'm not mistaken, was Gemma Tattersall here last year in this exact leg. We had a female 1-2 here last year with Bettina Hoy. Yeah, 1-2. We had a female 1-2, but we've got a 1-2, 3 and beyond at the moment.
And it's gonna stay that way. Here's Piggy, she gets the 4 strides. It's gonna be that tight 3 again. Quarry Crest Echo, they are looking quick. This is coming down to this now, folks. They can get ahead of Sarah Ennis.
She needed to be taking off at the Voltaire Design Sit Tight with 58 seconds on the clock. She took off with 57 seconds on the clock. She is on course to take her first ever Event Rider Masters title.
Now it comes down. This is a real test of a rider's mettle as you turn to this last corner. We'll see if she swings out. I don't think she'll swing out. I think she'll jump this, she'll stay straight, and then she'll start turning left. Yeah, she's not swung out. She started turning left. It makes it more difficult, but poetry, really good.
Piggy French, Quarry Crest Echo. She's 11 seconds in hand to go ahead of Sarah Ennis. Horseware Stellar Rebound at the top of the podium.
She's gonna do this easily.
She's gonna do it. She just needs to clear the last 27.3. She's gonna take a pull very sensibly to the final fence. She does so, but she can push on through the finish. She's going to make that optimum time, I think, as well. Marginally, 1 second, 2 seconds over. But my word, 3 seconds in total, 1.2 time penalties, 28.5. Piggy French, Quarry Crest Echo, an all-female podium here at Chatsworth, led for Great Britain. Sam, what a round, fastest of the day.
It was, I mean, her show jumping round was absolute perfection. You will not see a round ridden better than that in this sport. It was top. And again, her cross country as well. It's just an example of what it takes to win a class like this, and the level of skill that she's shown us today in executing that win is really something for anyone who wants to get involved with this sport to watch it. That's it at its best. But the training that goes in behind the scenes for that to come out on the cross-country course, in the show jumping ring, in the dressage arena, it's a huge testament to Piggy and her team. She's absolutely nailed this.
And her team will be very quickly on hand now, won't we? Just a word to those teams that are so quickly on hand to look after the horse. Piggy's going to be whisked off to the podium in a second, but Quarry Crest Echo, Red as he's known at home, he'll be in brilliant hands. You can vote for your ERM Supergroom using that hashtag as well. They couldn't do it without them.
Couldn't do without them. Really nice to see Piggy trotting the horse off there, warming it down, bringing the heart rate down nicely. Because she's ridden that round so nicely and so accurately, that's not taken anything out of Quarry Crest Echo. He's finished off there really nice. He's trotting off really loose, really good. To him, that's just another day at the office.
Well, Piggy French, Quarry Crest Echo, Piggy's first ever podium finish in an Event Rider Masters leg. And what a way to do it. She was pure class in all three phases. We'll look forward to hearing her thoughts on it in a few moments. But I say the cross country here, leg one of the Event Rider Masters, has not been a disappointment. Plenty of thrills, plenty of spills. The cross country time, Sam, has been influential as we expected.
Yeah, it's always influential here. We thought that it would be done. To be honest, I thought one or two more could have done it today. I think Maxime Livio was a big shock out of that leaderboard. I would have had him on that podium. And yeah, some good days and bad days, and that's what the Event Riders is all about.
Echo ratings have been on point all weekend. Dan, I think you can both be pretty happy right now.
Yeah, we knew it'd be a time test. We're now up to 1460, so we're coming up to, you know, 1,500 riders almost since 1999 taking on this track, and still just 5 have made the time. It shows you the achievement that those riders have done it in over the last couple of years. 4 of those remain Event Rider Masters. Piggy really pressed the time today. She was very close. It was, you know, a second in it. That performance deserved it. You know, it was the performance that, if you look at what eventing is all about, putting those 3 legs together, we were able to actually see just such quality across each. Everybody else, almost, you could say, there was a phase where there was they would have liked to improve at least one part of each phase. You know, Mr. Bass having a pull down, not like him, maybe could have been a little bit faster. I think you can almost do that for everyone. I think probably the course specialist, Sarah Ennis, is the other big performance that I would be drawn to.
Let's take a word on Sarah Ennis. Sam, you know her really well. Horse West Ella Rebound. He's a big team horse for Ireland as well. That is a very exciting performance.
Yeah, it's a horse coming from the top 10 at the European Championships last year. Sarah, experienced championship rider, as are a lot of people that we've seen here in this Event Rider Masters this week. Very, very exciting for Ireland to have that result, and a serious competitor. And she's shown that she can take on the very best on the world stage on her day, and she really put it up to Piggy. And that's what I said when she finished. I thought she did such a good job for the competition to really put it up to those last few riders. I agree with Dirm. I think visually Piggy's just executed that so comfortably, so professionally, and it's just great to see her back at the very top again.
And in terms of other really notable rounds as well, because Izzy Taylor, Call Me Maggie May, Izzy openly admitted not the fastest in the world.
Yeah. And she's not even joking. Like, Izzy is again an absolute magician on the cross country. She's very, very smooth. They post quick times without looking quick, and I think that's important. And they give their horses a really nice time out there on cross country. To them, as we saw Quarry Crest Echo finishing there, it was like he was just having a cross country school around there. It was that smooth.
The other one I'm drawn to is Astia on an 8-year-old. I think the fact that we had Astia sitting on top of that podium for any amount of time, and he was there for a little while. People began to talk about he needs to go get a plane or get a ferry. I mean, that horse has 5 international runs to his name. Yes, he's a Le Leon champion, but making a step up. He was here once at a 1-star, so he had seen this terrain before. But to be stepping up to a 3-star against some of the best riders and horses in the world, to hold your own, I think it's a performance that reminds me a little bit of Santiago Bay at Barbary last year, where we saw a big performance from an 8-year-old coming through, and I think potentially we've seen Astia lay down a marker for that horse there.
A top 10 finish for an 8-year-old on his first run at this level in this kind of class field, Sam. I mean, Astia had one of the fastest rounds of the day. That is quite extraordinary.
Yeah, it was super. And he's got a couple of 4-star winners ahead of him there in Bay My Hero and Romantic Love. So and a horses with championship experience too.
It's a big field, but my God, it was all action right up until the very end. The podium finishes, well, it's all changed at the top.
It really is, Nicole. What a show of girl power we have had here. Izzy Taylor, you're finishing in 3rd place. Your 2nd podium in the Event Rider Masters. How does it feel?
Yeah, delighted. Very happy for Sarah Strong, who owns the horse, who's kept with me, with Maggie, through thick and thin, and she's produced a very good result today.
And what are we expecting to see from you for the rest of the year?
Well, hopefully better than 3rd.
That is what we like to hear. Sarah Ennis for Ireland, going into 2nd place. Very close, but not quite. Sarah, you've had an incredible form here at Chatsworth over your career.
I've been very lucky at Chatsworth. I love coming here every year. Delighted for Piggy. She did the most amazing round. It looked beautiful. But yeah, no, I'm delighted. Delighted to be on the podium.
So that elusive Irish top spot still remains to be claimed, Sarah. It's yours for the taking.
Well, there's a few more legs yet.
Okay, and ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the winner here at Chatsworth for the 2018 first leg of the Event Rider Masters, Piggy French. Piggy, I don't even have a question for you. Your smile says it all. How are you feeling?
Oh, I'm just so over the moon, to be honest. I sat in the wagon before I set off and was like, come on, just try and do something useful. He's a fabulous horse. He's the most beautiful horse. He's a fantastic jumper. Jane McGiven, who is a wonderful owner of mine, has been so supportive. And she deserves, and the horse deserves, a really great day like this. And it means so much to us as riders for a day like this in the sport. And a class like this, which is so fun and fantastic.
Piggy, the horse deserves it, the owner deserves it, but you deserve it too, you know? It's great to see you back here.
Oh, thank you ever so much. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, what a finish. It has been an incredible conclusion, the jumping day of leg 1 of the Event Rider Masters. So the sun is setting on the first leg in 2018. Piggy French, Quarry Crest Echo, what a win. And actually showing there is finishing on their dressage score, making that optimum time, 27.3. Sarah Ennis, Horseware, Stella Rebound, brilliant from her. Izzy Taylor, Call Me Maggie May completing the top 3. But notable rounds for Ross Canters and Shearer. Wills Oakton, top 8 for him. Cooley Ramiro, that is an exceptional performance. And Astier Nicolas as well with his 7-year-old reigning world champion. Tim Price, one of the fastest of the day. He'll be ruining those 2 poles down in the show jumping. Xavier Fair takes 13th for him. And again, a little bit further on, Sam Watson, who's been with us in the studio this afternoon. A double jumping clear round for Horseware. Arda Highlight finishes just outside the top 20. Not the easiest of times for the strong French contingent here. We thought that they would be coming back with more people on the podium, but not quite the case. And big shock for Maxime Livio, Calauda Mare, who unfortunately parted company out on the cross country, but absolutely none the worse for wear after that fall. Well, it has been an incredible day here at Chatsworth. Leg 1 in the series. We've got plenty more to bring you. Wiesbaden is next weekend, and I'm sure there'll be a top-class field coming forward. Plenty of British invaders in a European field as well. Well, we're going to get the option to see a bit of Piggy French's round because, Sam, you were really complimentary of this throughout. Just talk us through it. She was pure class.
Yeah, it's the softness with which she's able to ride and the control the whole way around. I think that's a lot because of what these riders have done behind the scenes. What I thought in her show jumping round was that whenever Piggy just took her upper body back a little bit, the horse just waited for her, was listening for her every instruction, body language, and it's just, you know, so positive through there, but so smooth. Again, hands nice and quiet in that position. This was the one place actually where they did have a slight disagreement. Piggy said, okay, there's going to be an extra stride in there. But again, looking at it in slow motion, Piggy hardly touches the horse's mouth, and Quarry Crest Echo listening the whole time.
And she took a bit of a risk in this final combination. We had seen plenty of others take a slightly wider line, but she made it as hard as she could for herself.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to have that at home and just work on it, because I think it actually, you just need to be brave. Mentally as a rider, you just need to be brave because it comes up so quickly and the terrain is taking you away. But I think fortune does favour the brave on that. I think if you stay positive and you stay smooth and you know that you've done your homework, you can pull off moves like that.
And she is horse number 6 in over 1400 to make the time here at Chatsworth. That's pretty special as well.
It just tops off a pretty much perfect performance from this combination.
Well, what a performance it has been from Piggy French. Let's go down to Hannah for the official podium presentations.
Thank you very much, Nicole. What an incredible weekend of competition we have seen. A huge thank you to all our competitors. For those of you watching around the world, thank you very much for tuning in. And for those of you here at Chatsworth, thank you for putting such an incredible show and creating such an incredible atmosphere here at Chatsworth. And now it's time to start the podium presentations. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Dodson and Horrell Chatsworth International Horse Trials for the Leg 1 Event Rider Masters podium presentation. Sam Horrell, CEO of Dodson and Horrell, will now present our 3rd place finisher. Riding Call Me Maggie May, owned by Mr. Tom Strong, representing Great Britain, and ridden by Izzy Taylor. Our 3rd place finisher, receiving prize money of £8,000, a rosette, and of course, a bottle of champagne. And now Chris Stone, chairman of Event Rider Masters, will now present to our 2nd place finisher. Riding Horseware Stella Rebound, owned by Mr. Nicky Potterton, representing Ireland, and ridden by Ireland's Sarah Ennis. Receiving prize money of £12,000, a rosette, and of course, the all-important bottle of champagne. And now, welcome back Sam Horrell, CEO of Dodson and Horrell, to present the winner of the Event Rider Masters Leg 1 here at Chatsworth. You know it, riding Quarry Crest Echo, representing Great Britain and ridden by Piggy French, receiving prize money of £16,000, a rosette and a bottle of champagne. Ladies and gentlemen, Piggy French. The owner of Quarry Crest Echo, Mrs. Jane McGibbon, also receives the Event Horse Owners Association trophy and also a 2-night stay in the Monarch Hotel in Ireland, compliments of the Monarch Elite Event Horse Sales. A huge congratulations to our top 3. Ladies and gentlemen, give them a round of applause. Well, that concludes the podium presentations here at Chatsworth House for Leg 1 of the Event Rider Masters. Thank you so much for joining us. We're very much looking forward for Wiesbaden next weekend, Nicole.
Well, certainly it's got us off to an incredible start and those series points. It'll be interesting to see Piggy's tactics throughout the rest of the season. So the series leaderboard last year was dominated by Gemma Tattersall, but new faces on the podium in 2018 so far. Incredible scenes here at Chatsworth. What a venue for Leg 1 of the 2018 Event Rider Masters series. And those series standings as they are after the first of 6 legs. Well, it has been a huge performance for Piggy French, and she will finish on her dressage score of 27.3 to take the lead ahead of Sarah Ennis Horseware Stella Rebounder, Ireland's highest finish on Event Rider Masters podium, and Izzy Taylor, Call Me Maggie May. A brilliant performance for that horse in 3rd, but incredible performances from a lot of ladies inside our top 10. 7 in the top 7. And a little bit further down, 2nd after dressage, Sandman 7, and Pippa Funnel currently in 12th after Leg 1 of the Event Rider Masters series. Tom, Chris, Liberty and Glory, they were consistent in all 3 phases, as were Sammy, Croyd, Arco, BB, a good double jumping clear round for them. Disappointment for the French, particularly in the show jumping for Matthew Van Lanegem, Thibaut Villette as well. And of course, disappointment down the line as well. Ludwig Svennestal, Ballon missed, having that break of rain out on course. Disappointment for him, but back to the podium. What a finish, Leg 1 of the Event Rider Masters. Well, Piggy French getting well and truly showered in champagne by Izzy Taylor. Brilliant to see 3 international female riders on the podium, and it sets the 2018 Event Rider Masters Series off to an incredible start. Join us next week in Wiesbaden for leg 2. All of the action. I promise you, if it's half as good as this, we're in for a treat.
I know the devil's inside, just carry